Hey, what's up? It's Cute What If this side. Today we will be seeing, what if Hoki Rin survived training camp? Now before we move ahead with the fic, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for future what ifs like this. With the provisional license exams approaching quickly, a sense of urgency falls over all the first years. Shinsu's undairy bags grow darker than ever. Bakugo's attitude takes an even meaner turn. Kirishima and Shiro can often be found passed out on the couches, and Sensei's exhausted form is more often found even in the early hours of the morning. DD overnotes. I dive into training with a new determination, lips firm and expression set. Aunt Nimiri, recognizing my new motivation, pushes me even stronger. I manage to expand my wings even further, making them large and strong enough I can glide from one side of the training center to the other. But unlike my shadows, despite their size, they're brittle and easily dispersed. A single hit from Aunt Nimiri's whip and they shatter like glass. Don't give up, love, my godmother says with a laugh, pausing as she glances down towards where Toshinori had come to visit. He'd been by more often, especially since him and Sensei's private discussion Wednesday. It was one where I'd been kicked to the lobby and told not to return until they were done. Midoriya, red-faced and refusing to meet my eye, had all but raced from the room. That left me with a choice between Todoroki and the new kid, Mainta's replacement, literally the last person I wanted to spend time with. So I sat down with Todoroki, content to just stare off into space as he ate his cold soba. "Do you ever eat anything else?" I'd asked, annoyed by their stupid secrecy. "On occasion," he'd responded, completely unbothered by my tone. He just shrugged, took another bite, and slurped. I glowered, and when he'd finished, joined Shiro and Mina on the couch, deciding to join in on their game when they offered me a spare remote. I never did notice when Toshinori left, but he'd been an almost constant presence since, strolling around the training building, offering advice where he could, and just being visible. He'd only attempted to approach me once. I jumped off the cliff with a glare, wings glorious and spread, and landed by a rather confused Aoyama. I would never make that mistake again. He'd taken one look at my glowing wings and literally spasmed, slipping into French and gesturing excitedly. "You are the light to my sparkle," he'd declared, before immediately twirling and spinning and somehow managing to reflect the glow from my wings like a disco all across the room. "Ready to try again?" Midnight asks instead, pulling my attention back. I flush and nod, stepping over to the cliff face and the dizzying dip below. We'd been working on air tricks, specifically building speed as I fell, and then changing directions to rise again. I could do it with my shadow wings no problem. In fact, had learned it almost instinctively with fear and anger running hot through my veins. But doing it while staying happy, that was different, stronger. All I'd managed so far was to make a running stop that had me nearly bowling Ida over. Sensei had not been amused. I lean forward, happy thoughts flashing again through my mind, and dive off the cliff. I catch sight of Toshinori and Sensei's eyes as I dive towards the ground, but I don't pay attention. I can't, with the sting of the wind in my eyes and my braids slapping against my neck and back. My stomach jumps into my throat automatically, forcing my mouth shut. Hold it. I wait until the ground is only a few meters away before focusing my wings wide and open. My body jerks and my back aches as what feels like a fishing hook catches against my spine. It drags me to a sudden stop. The wings FLC curve, my weight plummets, and I gasp for air as I drop down several meters, rolling and rising completely unsuccessful on unsteady feet. Ugh, stupid quirk. "Young Hoki, are you okay?" I scowl as my attention shifts, switching to the nervous, gaunt-looking man. My chest aches at the sight of him, the sound of his voice invoking a familiar warmth. I shove it away. All Might. Liar. "Fine," I snap, rubbing my back discreetly. "You looked like you might have." "I said I'm fine," I snarl, glaring. "I don't need your help." I walk away quickly, ignoring Sensei's disapproving gaze and Toshinori's slumped figure. I don't care. Except I do. Especially when Bakugo nearly drops a two-ton rock on his head. Already gliding in a dive, my mouth goes dry when I catch sight of it. Time slows, my stomach, already caught in my throat, burns as acid coats my tongue. I watch the trajectory, staring as it plummets dangerously towards Toshinori's small figure. I look up from the hospital bed at a stranger with kind blue eyes, and an unnaturally thin frame, and hair the color of sunlight. He doesn't change. "Toshinori-san," I greet excitedly, scrambling over to hug him. He sits on a large blanket beside Yamade-sensei and Midnight, all three of them circled around a small cooler. I take up the spot beside him, arms wrapping around his middle and smiling up at bright, kind eyes. "What are you doing here?" He still doesn't change, mouth opening in a silent shout. Why would I care, I ask, even more suspicious. I don't like All Might, and I don't care what his stupid civilian form looks like. Because Tashinori is concerned, you will reject him out of principle. My wings blacken and expand, nightmarish and ragged and wide. They adjust mid-flight like they wouldn't before, but I'm still too far, blue eyes wide. My heart hammers in my chest. You don't like All Might? Tashinori asks, his voice oddly strained. Why's that? He's the #1 hero. It's only Midoriya's physical speed and head start that destroys the stone before my tentacles can reach. I swerve, shadows dispersing from my arms, and use that speed to climb, moving vertical up the cliff face and dropping elegantly on the top. The wings dissolve and I stare, expression shuddered as the blonde's fear transforms to astonishment to pride as he looks at Midoriya. Midoriya, who had known. Sensei, however, stares at me, expression seemingly bored if not for the knowing tilt to his lips. I scowl, hands fisting at my side. Why didn't he transform and stop it himself? The night before the licensing exams, Sensei has me try on my new hero outfit. I do, sliding on the thicker fabric with a strange, thick emotion in my chest. The fabric's heavier than the other, made of a sturdy material that barely stretches. And wrong. Like Sensei had warned, the baggy pants that I ordered are skin-tight. My shoes, which were supposed to be combat boots, are now heeled, sleek, and knee-high. My top, which was only supposed to be a simple tank top, now strangely had become long-sleeved, cropped, and snug with a small diamond cutout on my chest and back. It might also be the reason my fingerless gloves were currently missing. I sigh, pursing my lips, and step up to the mirror and turn. It doesn't look bad, just different. Whoever had redesigned it had redone the color scheme as well as the fit. The shoes, now a light, almost baby blue, sweeps seamlessly up my calves. The black pants tucked into them is dark and seamless with 2 horizontal blue stripes across my right thigh and another, thicker one at the waist of my strangely padded hips. My top, also black, has that weird padding too, extending my chest at least a cup size with the same soft blue color wrapping around my neck and outlining the fist-sized cutout in blue. It all fits securely, pressing against my skin like a second skin. It's strange and wrong and nothing like what I ordered. But I kind of like it. Especially when I unfurl my braid and let the dark hair all hang loose at my back. I look different. I feel different. Remembering the belt Sensei left me, I quickly pick up the silver, scuffed thing and hook it against my hips. Despite the obvious signs of age, it fits perfectly after some adjustments. I look in the mirror and grin, barely recognizing the person staring back. She looks like a hero. And for once, my chest doesn't ache at that thought. Sensei, do you want to see? I call, stepping out of my room. I peek into the living room and giggle, unsurprised to find him cross-legged with Miss Ka, reading a rather thick-looking file with his hair pulled back in a low bun. I guess, he grumbles, not even looking up. How wrong is it? Terribly, I answer, snickering. He flips the page and sighs. Next time do your research. Support companies are essential to a hero's image and success. Improper equipment can mean the difference between life and death. Luckily for you, it's just cosmetics. Now, are you coming out or what? I blush and step into the room, twirling into the center of the space. He still doesn't look. Sensei, I whine. Hold on, he grunts, lowering the folder full of papers onto his lap. He glances up, and his expression strongens immediately, as his eyes sweep my body. He takes in the bright blue lines and obvious padding silently with narrowed eyes. He doesn't stare long, jaw tight as he reaches down to pick back up his papers. He glares at the reports, lips thin. Sensei? I ask, witty-eyed. Do you not like it? It's flattering, he says, sour. Now go take it off. I giggle. Yais, sir. The morning of the exam dawns bright and sunny. My body buzzes with energy, much like my classmates around me. I watch my classmates curiously, back against the wall as they squeal and scramble to prepare. Kaminari pulls apart the couch, desperately searching for his lost uniform. Momo nervously trails behind him, asking questions and offering advice. Bakugo glares and snarls at Mina, who tries to badger him into cooking her breakfast since she always burns everything. By the elevator, Shiro and Kirishima lock into some sort of weird chanting dance, arms extended and hopping from foot to foot. I think they're trying to pump themselves up, but I'm not really sure. So weird. And of course, in the midst of it all, Ida tries to direct everybody, shouting and chopping violently at the air as he tries to collect everyone in a line. It's noisy and ridiculous and vibrant. And for some reason, after a few weeks of it, it makes me smile. Sensei does not. He takes one exhausted look at the chaos and activates his quirk. The room silences instantly. That's so cool. He ignores me, his red eyes narrowed dangerously, dark hair floating above his head. You are all too noisy. Stop playing around and get on the bus. I do, shuffling to my customary spot and pushing my new hero costume under the seat. I take the place by the window, leaning against it as the others board much quieter than earlier. Todoroki joins me a moment later, grunting as he slides into the seat beside me. Good morning, I mumble, glancing curiously at him. Morning, he says back, mismatched eyes meeting my own. We stare at each other mutely for a moment before I flush and turn away, not really sure where to go after that. Usually, Kirishima or Mina or one of the others just starts talking. I try to remember a topic. Are you ready for the exam? I ask, hesitant as I glance back over. He's still looking in my direction, and he blinks curiously. I suppose. The pause lingers again, and I frown when he doesn't go on. Is he not going to say anything? Shinsu would have said something more. But what do I say? Ugh, stupid words. I scowl at the seat in front of me. It's fine, just pretend that it's Shinsu. That's easy enough. I'm a little nervous, I tell him, looking down at my hands. I had told Shinsu as much last night. Not as much as before, though. Part of it, I think, is the exam, but I also don't want to disappoint Sensei. But Sensei says that as long as I try my best, he won't be upset either way. I'm also nervous about using my shadows again. I haven't used them since the camp, and I cut off, shoving away the quickly rising emotions. They've been swelling with each passing day, as if they knew I'd need them soon. Sharp claws that dig into my chest and squeeze at my insides. That ached in the pit of my belly. This is one of your emotional wounds. I force a smile. I don't really want to use them, I admit, rubbing my neck. He nods, and something in his rather flat expression seems to resonate. It's your power, he agrees, nodding. I blink. Yeah, I mumble, raising an eyebrow. What a weird thing to say. Of course, it's my power. He blinks. What? I consider telling him, but Shinsu would call it rude. Not that he ever had a problem calling me weird. Never mind, I mumble, crossing my arms. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. With a sigh, I turn and stare out the bus window as the city passes by. Todoroki makes a noise, but when I glance back at him, he's frowning at his hands. I want to ask him why, but I don't. I don't really know what to say. So, life? Yeah. Why is this so much easier with everyone else? I shrink into the seat and pout. With nothing to do, I alternate between staring out the window or at the back of the seat. I consider pulling out my phone, but I'd already turned it off and stowed it in my uniform bag, and the idea of undoing all that work feels like a waste. So I literally have nothing to do. I wiggle in my seat, bored and mind whirling with a million ridiculous thoughts. I manage to last a good 5 minutes in silence before I finally crack. Is your hair naturally half red and white? The quiet boy blinks, eyebrow rising as he turns curiously my way. Yes. As usual, it stops there. I purse my lips and stare down at his arms and exposed hands. So does it all grow like that everywhere? Are your arm hairs all white on this half of you and red on the other? Todoroki frowns. No, it doesn't grow like that everywhere, or no, it's not half and half. Why do you care? He asks, looking at me strangely. It's hair. I feel my face heat. And you called him weird. I was just curious, I scowl, wrinkling my nose and crossing my arms. I'm bored. He makes a face. Oh. The pause between us lengthens again, and I snort. We could trade, I offer, not really sure what to say. I mean, take turns. A question for a question or something. His mismatched eyes stare. I wilt a little under their intensity. Why doesn't he answer like he's supposed to? It's all white. I blink, looking at him strangely, before I realize that's his answer. I make a small off shape with my mouth, and then quickly shut it back, feeling idiotic. Is Shinsu related to Aizawa-sensei? The feeling intensifies. What the hell kind of question is that? No, I draw out slowly, furrowing my eyebrows. Why would you even think that? Todoroki shrugs. They both have messy hair and dark circles. They also have similar glares. I can't help but snort. The dark circles are because neither of them ever sleep, I tell him, grinning. Sensei stays up all night reading files or doing hero work, and Shinsu, he just doesn't sleep. Their hair is completely different though. Sensei's hair is way nicer. It's wavy and super soft, and I think he cuts it himself too because it's always uneven even when he brushes it. But Shinsu never brushes his. It's always stiff and gross because he puts all that gunk in it. I tried it once, but it just made a mess. Do you use it? The jelly stuff. He blinks and I realize how dumb that question is, considering his very flat hair. No. I sigh, head falling forward. We run out of questions long before we arrive at the national stadium that will do our exams. I've never been to a national stadium before, but it's pretty similar to the one at UA except with more of a spiral shape. It kinda looks like one of the shells from the beach, with a pointed roof that swirls up and around to point precariously at the sky. It's bright too, with yellow and red patterns repeating all around the edges. And huge. Uniform clutched to my CHST, I line up with everyone else outside the bus, surprised at the line of buses arranged behind us. There must be hundreds, no thousands of people here. Just how many others are competing? That's a lot of people, Kaiuka mutters, swinging side to side. I'm nervous. Yeah, sweats the new kid. Are all of them CC competing? I send him a sideways glance but say nothing, lips pursing. It should be Minta. Sensei, slouching up ahead in his hero uniform, glances their way as well. You'll be competing against thousands, but this is what you've trained for. Trust in your strong work and don't give up, he says in his deep baritone that carries across the class. Beside me, Ochako straightens and Ida nods his head. If you all manage to pass this test, then you novice eggs will become chicks and you'll hatch into semipros, so do your best. I give him a strange look at the weird egg analogy. Does that make him a rooster? Would Aunt Nimuri be a hen? Since All Might retired, is he dinner? All right, I'm gonna be a chick, Kaminari exclaims, an arm pumping at his side. Kirishima shouts something as well, but I ignore both of them and their antics. Instead, my eye catches on to the people steadily approaching from a nearby bus. White button-down shirts, dark pants and skirts, and a matching navy hat with a shiny golden seal. I frown as a rather muscular one sneaks close, eyes narrowing when he coils for something. Plus ultra, he yells obnoxiously with the other two, and I relax. Some commotion breaks out as everyone starts growling at the boy, but I ignore it all. Scanning the crowd of students, my eyes catch instead on a familiar face, black as onyx and smooth with magma-like veins running all through his skin. It takes me a moment to realize why. Come hang out with us, I'll introduce you to my friends. It's the boy from the beach, Taya's friend. My mind whirls, remembering the friendly boy from the pool and his little sister. Had they been in the hotel when it crumbled? Had they been caught up in my bad luck? My stomach churns. Were they okay? Did they escape? I step forward, remembering the plumes of smoke, the ash in my mouth and the screams. Sensei drops to his knees. I stare in horror as red droplets fall to the floor. I skirt the outside of the group, feeling Sensei's eyes on my back as I step over to the taller boy. He looms several inches over me, with eyes the same shiny black as his skin, and the lines in his rock-like flesh glowing orange. You're Teishokan. Rinsen, the boy repeats, his voice cooler than I expected. I am disappointed to find you here. Why? Your lack of respect and heroism during the emergency disgust me. I had hoped you'd be expelled. I flinch back, and reel. What? Excuse me, I choke, eyebrows furrowing at the unexpected attack. He frowns, or as much as his rock-like skin can, caught in a perpetual line. I have no interest in the conversation, he says, voice gruff. Go away. I almost do, but something keeps my feet still. How dare he judge me? He doesn't know anything about me. I came to ask about Taoya-kun and his sister, I snap, jaw clenching shut. I don't believe you actually care. Hot flames break under my skin and I grind my teeth. What would he know? You don't know anything. I don't care, he says, expression strong. He turns towards the other, the one behind me that had been making a scene putting back on his hat. Good luck. Why? Because if we meet in battle, I will show you a true hero's strength. He walks away and I can only glare at his back, barely listening as Sensei gives out info on someone else. I don't believe you care. I snarl at his uniformed back, before spinning on my heel and stomping back to Todoroki's side. I had hoped you'd be expelled. Bastard. Hakachin? Midoriya asks nervously. Who was that? I glare at the green-haired boy and he eeps. Todoroki raises an eyebrow when my gaze falls on him. Someone I met this summer at the beach, I scowl, still feeling the hot flames dancing under my skin. I'll show you a true hero's strength. Show me, I think nastily, black shadows dancing from my fingertips. Rin Sensei starts. Eraser. Oh, Eraser, is that you? Sensei's face morphs from concern into annoyance in a second, and I turn to glower at the woman speed walking towards us. Pale green hair, an orange bandana, and a too colorful ensemble. She looks like a clown. She stops far too close, and I can feel my eyes begin to narrow. Who is she? Why is he letting her stand there? Oh, Eraser, I saw you on TV at the sports festival, but it's been so long since we've seen each other face to face. Let's get married. I choke. Sensei, I twitching, offers me an annoyed glance before turning back to her. No thanks. The woman, brash and loud, glances my way curiously before laughing outrageously. I glare between them. Mary. Did she say Mary? Who is this? That's the smiling hero, Miss Joke, squeals Midoriya excitedly, and I have to squish the urge to snarl at him. I ignore his random mumblings, some nonsense about her villain suppression technique, and narrow in on the strange way she reaches out for him, laughter still ongoing. No thanks, haha, that's such a good one. As always, you're unamusing. I'm inclined to agree. Come on, if I was your wife, we could have a family full of constant laughter. That sounds like an actual nightmare. My lips thin and my nostrils flare. Kirishima, standing a few steps ahead, quickly backpedals to my side, squeezing my shoulder warningly. I shove the arm away, crossing my chest. You guys seem pretty close. Ribbit, Tsuyu says, tapping her chin. She seems like an idiot, I grumble under my breath. I've never even heard of her. What does she mean marriage? Our offices used to be near each other, Joke laughs. We'd help each other out, rescuing each other, hanging out. A mutual relationship built on love. Untrue, Sensei says flatly, arms crossed as well. Knock it off. Hey, Aizawa-sensei already has a family, Kirishima says, and Joke's grin falters. She looks at me again and I glare, teeth bared, while Sensei sighs. Kirishima, Rin, that's enough. Oh, she asks, raising an eyebrow. Well, aren't you a cutopatity? No. She grins down at me, completely nonplussed. Sensei sighs again, and I grind my teeth. If you're here, Sensei says, obviously trying to change the subject. That must mean... Oh yeah, meet my class. I glower at the new group of students, completely done with all of these people. One, a particularly upbeat boy, immediately starts shaking hands. He gets as far down the line as Bakugo before the blonde slaps his hands away. Good, I think nastily. Rinshin, Kirishima interjects, voice low as he pulls me back towards the bus with a grimace in Bakugo's direction. No doubt he wants to chastise him for his rudeness, but he doesn't, his hand firmly against my shoulder. You okay? What did that guy even say? You looked pissed. I take a practiced, deep breath. I am disappointed to find you here. He hoped I'd been expelled. Someone bumps into my other shoulder, and I frown over to see Toru standing there, shirt sleeves crossed, and her clothing exuding irritation. That creep, she growls, voice angrier than I ever remember hearing it. Who does he think he is? I twitch and look at her oddly, surprised. But Momo, in front of us, is turning as well, expression caught somewhere between being offended and sad. She frowns deeply. That's so unmanly, Kirishima growls, wrinkling his nose. What kind of hero puts down others? You shouldn't listen to him, Rinshin, Momo agrees earnestly. If we see him in the exams, I vote you kick his ass, Toru agrees, nodding. She punches her hand and makes a grunt of frustration. You're way more heroic than he'll ever be. I bet he's just jealous. Whatever else she was going to say is cut off though as Sensei clears his throat. Oi, he grumbles, his voice breaking through the chaos effortlessly. I frown as his dark eyes find mine. Control yourself. Go change into your costumes and go to orientation. Don't waste time. Everyone shouts a quick, yes, sir. Toru hooks her invisible arm in mine, and I cast one last, sour look back at the green-haired woman. She throws me a wink and I glare. Marriage? Who is she? Changing clothes is an ordeal. Due to the size of the venue and the large number of people, everyone gets separated into different changing rooms. Males are routed to one side of the building and females to the other, with attendants in dark clothes offering mysterious smiles as we pass. They pull strangers from the line into different rooms to change. Momo is one of the first, followed quickly by Kyoka and Tsuyu. I end up in what looks like a converted meeting room with 9 other girls. They're each incredibly different. One is nearly as tall as Chilutho-san, another pretty in traditional-looking Japanese robes. The girl closest to me reminds me of Kagura. Blue hair spiked with a sharp grin, she strips immediately down to her bright green underwear before tugging on tight leather shorts and a fishnet top. The leather jacket only barely conceals the bright color of her bra. Yo, I know I'm hot, but damn girl, you look ready to drool. I flush and stop, turning instead to tug off my own skirt. Sorry, I mumble, opening up the silver case. US insignia glitters as it catches the light, and I hurriedly pull out my pants, dragging them up and over my thighs. It's like sliding on a second skin. I purse my lip and concentrate, making sure all the lines are straight. Nervous? No. I scowl at my legs and concentrate on twisting the fabric. I'm so caught up, I nearly jump when the stranger throws her leg up beside me grinning. So you, huh? The hush that fills the room is too noticeable. I frown, feeling the other girl's stares. Yeah. Hoki, right? You were third place at the sports festival. The frown deepens. Stupid sports festival. Yeah, I hedge, zipping the pants closed. The girl smirks, her eyebrow raising. You're not really like I imagined, she says, switching legs to pull on the other boot. The name's Sonia. I nod and remove my shirt, feeling her eyes rake across the scars. One girl gasps, another sucks in a shuddering breath. Like they always do. Now who's drooling? I ask with a rather sour note, pulling on my shirt. Sonia grins, completely unrepentant. TCH, she laughs, painting her cheeks with purple lines and her lips the same color. Bright amber eyes sparkle back, and I can't help but wonder at her quirk. I think I like you, Hoki. Good luck out there. She pulls her leg down before I can thank her and sends me a saucy wink. Like Aunt Nimiri, she swings her hips as she walks. And like Aunt Nimiri, I can't help but notice the way everyone stares as she struts from the room. Not for her scars, but her confidence. I automatically grab for my shoes. What kind of hero do you want to be? Pulling them up my leg, I'm struck again by how different I feel. Like I'm a new person, like I could be anything I want. I unravel my hair, the long strands falling in waves down my back. The belt, tight and hooked against my hips, remind me of Sensei. He's watching. Probably with that woman. Who is she? I mess with the belt for a few more moments, checking supplies. Sensei had given me a list: first aid bandages, a hook for my flashlight, a snack, and water. I don't spend long on it, looking up as two others leave. I follow behind. The waiting space we return to is packed. There must be hundreds of people in here, I think incredulously, feeling the nervous buzz that circles the room begin to hum in me. All these people. My skin itches as the large group crowds nearer, electricity pulsating under my skin. I swallow, feeling it roll and twist in my gut. Taking a deep breath, I move towards the corner of people I do recognize. A ninja-like head several inches above the rest, Shoji, I remind myself, becomes my beacon. I follow it through the sea of people, reminded of the ocean currents as they churn and move constantly around me. I can smell them, the raw scent of their costumes, of latex and plastics, mixing strangely with the odor of bodies and nauseating perfumes. By the time I catch sight of Ida's white armor and Kaminari's bright yellow hair, I'm half tempted to hug them. Sensei would? Not approve. Sensei isn't here. Who was she? Hey, I huff, sliding up on Ida's right. Stupid Sensei. Why didn't he even mention her? I know I asked if he had a girlfriend. What's it mean that he's never even mentioned her? But she said they were in love. He loves me. Hoki, Ida cuts off as he turns, eyes widening. His mouth drops and cheeks color. Hoki-chan. Hi, I repeat again, scowling. How many times is he going to repeat himself? You changed your outfit, he says, hands clapping together and face still very red. How forward-thinking. Is this the first time you've worn it? Officially, yeah, I admit, trying to shake the dark feelings. I force a smile, feeling it twist lopsided on my lips. It came in yesterday afternoon. It looks very nice, he says, and I can't help but snort at his awkwardness. Thanks. I smirk, even more amused, when his face reddens. Aranchan. Turning to greet Kaminari, I can't help but blink when the blonde stares back, mouth wide and nose bleeding. Ida notices as well. Kaminari-kun. Is sorry, he squawks, quickly spinning to swipe at his nose. I have no idea what he's sorry for, but I ignore it. He can be so odd sometimes. Maybe his brain is about to short-circuit. I hope not, though. That can't be good right before the exams. Rinchan, girl, you look hot. A very naked Toru appears beside me, and I give where I expect her head to be an exasperated look. How is this okay? Aren't you cold? I ask, raising an eyebrow. Nope, she laughs, and I can hear the grin in her voice as her gloves wave around her. If anything, I'm a little warm with all these people in here. My costume definitely helps in the summer. I snort again. What costume? You're wearing gloves and shoes. Girl, she continues, clearly ignoring the expression on my face. I'm so jealous. You look amazing. Thanks, I say, sidestepping away before she starts trying to hug. Sensei really needs to have a conversation with her. I accidentally bump into Siro, and he grins, hands falling on my shoulders out of reflex. Hey Rinchin, nice outfit. Thanks, I mumble. Seriously, is everyone going to comment about this? Aw, that's cute, he laughs, arms crossing against his CHST as he relaxes. You nervous? No, I huff, and at his laugh, I can't help but smile as well. I rub my arm and twist at my fingers. There's a lot of people here though. He nods. Yeah, it's definitely getting crowded. Kinda crazy we'll have to compete against all these people, huh? But it's not all that different from the entrance exams. I mean, I wonder how many of the people here competed against us or the second years to get into UA. Not saying they aren't strong or anything, but we've survived 2 villain attacks, you know? Like Sensei said, you've got to have a little confidence. Oh, hey. Hey, Kirishima, Bakugo. Hey, over here. I shake my head when he shouts and waves, arms flailing as he calls over the other 2. I consider his words. We've survived 2 villain attacks, you know. You've survived more than that. How many had there been? The Kaido during the internship. Did them all actually count? And then there was the beach and the summer camp. I frown as Bakugo shoves his way forward, expression annoyed when a rather large boy doesn't move fast enough. Promise me, Hellspawn. I'm not saying they aren't strong or anything. Did that make us stronger? Did that make me stronger? Scarhead, Bakugo says, eyes narrowed as he takes in my new hair and outfit. Dude, that's so uncool. I give him a weird look. Does he not know my name? Rin, I say clearly, meeting his eye. He lied. He also came for you. Bakugo glowers and pinks. I know your FC King name, he snarls, nose crinkling and eyebrows furrowing. Kirishima and Siro snicker, and I frown as I glance their way. Oh, I don't get the joke. Hi? Bakugo's eye twitches. He opens his mouth, likely to make a scathing reply, but he's cut off when some official taps on the microphone. Ignoring his muttered idiot, I watch as a tired-looking man sprawls and yawns against the podium. He mumbles and groans and clears his throat several times before starting. Welcome. The entire room silences, but it isn't the good kind. The man drones with so many yawns in his sentences, I honestly feel like yawning myself. Maybe he has a sleeping quirk? I grimace and rub my face, barely paying attention. He talks forever. It's only when the roof shutters and opens that I realize that he's done. The roof disappears, light washes through the dark room, and the walls fall away to a huge arena. I stare openly. It's enormous, with 2 mountain-like peaks to one side, a miniature city, a lake, an open highway, and another city area. I look up into the stadium as well, noticing the rows of empty seats dotted with people, too far for me to recognize anyone. Sensei's up there. Is he with her? They begin passing out targets and Siro groans when I give him a confused glance. You weren't listening at all, were you? No, I shrug, holding the 3 targets and 6 What is this? Put the targets on your body and don't get hit. To move on you'll need to knock out 2 other people. Oh, I say. You say that like this is going to be easy, he grumbles, shaking his head. I stuff the orange into the utility belt and then look curiously at my own body. Maybe not easy, but it is kind of like the entrance exams, right? I ask, attaching the targets in a triangle on my CHST, 1 on each shoulder and another on my stomach. Thankfully, they're light and flexible enough that they won't impact my movement. Sure, Siro mutters, looking a little nauseous. Not really, Momo says, shaking her head as she steps towards us. I frown when I notice the tightness around her eyes and lips. Facing robots is a lot easier than facing people, especially groups of people. But we've faced people before, I remind her. My frown deepens at Kyoka and Suyu's nervous expressions as well. I hesitate before pressing a hand against Momo's arm. She's warm, and she blinks in surprise. We stopped the league twice. Not to mention my brother. Todoroki, on Momo's other side, glances thoughtfully my way. Yeah, but... Guys, we should move together as a group, Midoriya shouts, drawing our attention. Yeah, shouts Ochako immediately. Good idea, Ida agrees, shoving the helmet onto his head and locking it in place. Hell no, Bakugo growls, glaring at the green-haired boy. He knocks into my shoulder as he shoves past, and I glare. Rude. This isn't a field trip. Wah, idiot. Wait, Kirishima shouts, already moving after him with Kaminari right behind him. So much for that plan. I'm going to go on my own too, Todoroki says, his voice level as he begins walking. Momo stiffens and I furrow my eyebrows. By himself. It's strong for me to use my power in a big group. Todoroki-kun, Midoriya yells, and I step automatically after him. Orange-chan, Toru squeaks, voice rising in pitch. I still. Ah. Please don't leave, please. I stiffen at the soft voice, remembering her still body on the ground, blood spilling across her skin to reveal slivers of her face. I remember Kyoka there too, both their bodies near lifeless in the swirling pink smoke. Her CHST barely rising. I curl my fist. Okay, I agree, forcing a smile. I breathe deeply. But we should probably go. The others look relieved. How strange. We all set off at a run, and I consider the bizarreness of that. They want me here. Why? I focus on my breathing as we run, silent in my place near the center back. Shadows I haven't touched in weeks bubble readily under my skin. Part of me wants to rake my fingers across my skin and release them. Part of me wants to bury them down deep and never touch them. Ever. I remember the cashier, pale and shaking. I wonder if they'd still want me then. I care. I glance at Ida and swallow. I don't think it's a good idea for any of us to go off on our own, Midoriya says, interrupting me from my thoughts. I frown at his back. Why not? The new kid squeaks. I frown at his costume, dressed in yellow and red with a rock-like head and a strange orange mask. I wrinkle my nose. Apparently, he could summon or talk to animals. He looks like an idiot. That should be Minta. Because everyone here already knows our quirks. The sports festival, Ida says. Yes, they'll have seen all of our strengths and weaknesses. This will probably end up being a battle between schools, Midoriya agrees, leading us all towards the two rising mountains ahead. We don't get far before the open space becomes much more jagged. Our path sinks while cliffs jut up around us. Which means, when choosing a target, we'll probably be. He's cut off by the loud screech of the exam speakers. First test, start. My eyes widen as the sound of shouting rises up in front of us. Everyone stumbles to a stop as opponents begin to appear. Over 15 at our front with a few more rising up from the mountainside behind them. There's a scream, a muffled shout, and a sudden barrage of thousands of oranges. The black tendrils appear before I can stop them. Seeping out from my costume like they do my skin, they spike into thorns. I had hoped you'd be expelled. They twist into hissing snakes, swallowing the orbs whole and leaving melted plastic near my feet. The few that make it past I dodge. Is that it? The onslaught stops almost as quickly as it begins. You'll need to move faster than that, Yamade-sensei says, almost conversationally as he knocks me off my feet with a well-placed kick. You can't just defend. You want to be a hero, you're gonna need to stop me, not just run away. I don't hesitate. Shadows spiral around my arms, the scent of wet earth rising. I extend them forward, changing them into claws as they rake through the people. Some jump, some tumble off the cliff face. The nearly shirtless one from the buses glares as he dodges out of the way. Sit. That's Hoki. I snarl at the fear in their voices, tasting it in the air, feeling it in my CHST. Nightmare. In the bag. You have 1 minute, or she'll kill you. My eyes burn. My teeth grind. I want to cry. I want to scream. What kind of hero do you want to be? You're a disease, all of you. He wanted you, Nico shouts. People are turning, stopping, whispering. Sensei moves towards us. I don't want him to. I don't want him to hear this. I wish he'd never left. He came for you. You destroyed his life, just like you do to everyone. Just like you did to ours. I hate you. I hate your face, your name, your quirk, your everything. I'm going to destroy you, just like you did me. Take this. The shirtless boy slams his hands into the ground instead. Break. Maximum force. The earth trembles beneath me and shatters. I scream, hearing it mix with the cacophony of shouts as the ground literally breaks and explodes beneath us. Huge boulders launch into the air. My knees buckle. My bones rattle. The wind whistles and claws at my face, my shadows dispersing in the chaos. A gloved hand reaches for my shoulder, a hand with an unseeing arm. Toru. I react immediately, drawing her naked body into my CHST, even as the world turns sideways. The ground rips from beneath my feet, and we tumble headfirst somewhere, rocks pelting our bodies, the world spinning around us. I gag on the dust in the air. Something sizzles past my ear, burning a hot trail against my cheek, and the bricks in front of me appear to combust, blowing ash and debris towards my face. I cover a scream, drop to the ground, and barely manage to roll out of the way when the sides of the building explode outward in the same way and crumble down. Rinchin. I can't breathe. Rinchin. We hit the ground rolling. It's like slamming into bricks. He knocks my head against the brick wall. Shadows sweep across my vision. Pain shoots through my skull and neck. Nausea rises instantly. He pulls me back and blood drips from the wall. My back aches, the wind rushes from my lungs, and stars dance across my vision. I clutch to the girl beneath me, dust and blood and tangles of hair on my tongue as we roll. I don't know if the hair is hers or my own as it spills down my throat, like spider webs against my face. I automatically clutch for her, shadows encasing us both. They slip away the moment we stop. I gasp for breath. Arenchen. The weight on my chest lifts. I manage a groan, still heaving. Oh good, Toru whispers, voice small. Her gloved hands return, pressing against my head, and this time they card through my hair. It takes a moment to realize she's checking for injuries. You're okay. I wasn't sure I'd get to you in time. What? I crack open my eyes and try for an incredulous look. She grins back, the dust from the destruction settling across her body in odd patches and exposing a slender frame, long lashes, and far too soft face. Hey, she laughs, what I can see of her lips spread wide. Don't give me that look. Someone had to make sure you stayed out of trouble. I groan again, ignoring her ridiculousness and holding my head. When the world, finally, stops spinning, I pull myself to my knees and try to scan the destruction. The two mountains are gone. What should have been a plateau, what was a plateau, is now hills and deep jutting crevices interspersed and echoing with shouts. To think one boy's quirk. One person could destroy all of this. I glance at my hands, remembering my own shadows, and grimace. Eh? What's wrong? Toru asks. There's a nervous hum as she reaches out, her gloves settling on my hands. You look upset. Are you okay? I don't know what to say. How do I put into words everything that I didn't want to be? Nightmare. Hadn't she heard them scream? I pull away and slowly stand. My right knee hurts, but not like it's dislocated or sprained. My back throbs from the fall, and I can feel the coming headache form. I unlatch my water, take a long swig, and then hand it to the invisible girl. What? It's water, I mumble. I gather up my hair, now wild and tangled, and twist it loosely to my back. I regret the lack of braid. I kinda regret the new outfit too. You're really not any different, are you? Mostly, I regret the shadows. Rinshin, Toru tries again, drinking the water before handing it back. What's wrong? We should move, I grunt, ignoring her question. I stand and breathe deeply. Sensei's watching. It's the kind of answer Sensei would glower at me for. It's the kind of answer Yuusin wanted. Toru doesn't say anything, but I can see the scowl in the dust still patched across her cheek. Doesn't seem like nothing, she grumbles, stepping away. You have dust on your body, I tell her, hoping to change the subject, and she squeaks before quickly looking down and hurriedly working to wipe it away. Despite my mood, I can't help the warm rush of affection. We just have to take out 2 each. Yeah, Toru says, her voice bright and her body invisible again. Ready? I nod and we set off. We haven't made it far before the announcer lets out a loud squawk. Apparently, the first person to move on eliminated 120 rivals. My mouth dries. Wow, I whisper. Toru snorts. I'm not impressed, she sniffs, and I have a feeling that if I could see her, her nose would be stuck in the air. I mean, sure that's a lot of people, but it's not like you couldn't do the same or even Todoroki. Hell, even that earthquake guy had to use his super move because you were wrecking their people. What? I ask, eyebrows furrowing. Oh, come on Rinshin, I doubt half these people here can do what you can, she says, and the certainty in her voice makes my chest tighten. I look away and frown. You mean scare people? Scare? What? She growls. I blink, and a moment later her gloved hand is on my shoulder. Is that why you've been all mopey? Did someone tell you? You were scary? I bet it was that bastard from Shiksu. Let's go find him and knock him out. I can't help but smile at the vehemence in her voice. Her gloves are waving around in the air again, and the dust at her feet swirls around the targets by her ankles. She's kinda cute when she's all worked up. No, nobody, not recently. I wasn't going to use my shadows. Toru stops, and I can feel my face heat as I return to walking. You, why not? She asks. Do they hurt you? I remember you and Sensei arguing about it during camp. I gotta admit, I don't think anyone else could get away with arguing with him like that. He really likes you, huh? I love you. My face burns hotter, and I definitely don't look back. Sometimes. I mean, not Sensei, but, ugh. Stupid words. I scowl, ears hot, and pull at my fingers. Ah, you're so cute, Rinshin, Toru says, hurrying to walk at my side and poke my shoulder. And then, without warning, I feel her arms slide across my back and her head falling heavily against my shoulder. I'm so glad you're here with me. I don't know what to say. She is? Why? The arm retracts a second later, and the feet stomp through the dirt faster. I get the distinct impression she's skipping. Rinchin, your light powers are awesome, don't get me wrong, but your shadows are too. And at least until we know what's next, I think you should use your strongest asset. So you'll want to pull attention to other parts, your best parts. My shadows? Of course, she says, and I know even without looking she's grinning. Nightmare. She thinks my shadows are awesome. Now let's go find some enemies. Maybe we'll get lucky and catch Rockhead. It doesn't take long to find enemies. With them looking for us, we really only have to walk out into the light. What I don't expect is capturing them to be so easy. They release a shout, attack, and my shadows capture all 4 of them in seconds. But unlike the cashiers, they don't turn pale and shaky beneath them. Seriously, you don't even look like Hoki, snarls a very furry one as Toru gleefully tags out 2 of his friends. FCK man. I flush and tap his targets with one of my own oranges. Ah, sorry. The lizard hybrid on the ferret groans. You could at least gloat so we could hate ya. I make a face. TCH, better luck next time, Toru says, more than happy to rub it in their face. And just think, she wasn't even trying. My cheeks heat, turning the tentacles a dark maroon color, and I immediately release them. The blue-skinned male flops dramatically on his back. It kind of reminds me of Sparkles. To be honest, they'd probably get along well. You passed, squeaks my target. Please exit the training facility. Toru jumps up with an excited yell. Yes. I smile and she hurriedly hooks my arm. Bet we're the first of our class to get through. As it turns out, we are. I flush and take in the large waiting room. Plush chairs, overhead lighting, and a long table in the back full of snacks. There are also less than 10 people in it when we arrive. Toru makes a noise as she notices one of them. It takes a moment to recognize him. The boy from the bus. He's covered in thick maroon fabric with a cape and a familiar black hat. A Shiksu student. I flinch automatically away, but he only smiles broadly. More students. Haha, congratulations. Were you the first one here? Toru asks boldly. I cast her a sharp look. She ignores me completely, hands flexing as she clearly crosses her arms. Yes, he shouts. I cringe at the volume. Every one of my opponents gave it their all, a hot-blooded battle that makes me proud. I notice several of the others trading dark looks. I wring my hands. How many of their classmates didn't make it? Will mine? The idea of moving ahead alone with only Toru is strangely terrifying. Oh, Toru says, and I can tell she's stumped by his excitement. Well, that's good, I suppose. The male laughs, but his expression cools a little as he turns towards me. Thankfully, we don't have to actually talk as more people begin filing in and Toru drags me over to food. I'm strongly hungry, but the invisible girl fills us both a plate regardless, chatting continuously about the others. I wonder who will be next. I'm guessing either Yamomo or Todoroki-kun. I'd say Bakugo-kun, but he's probably found some incredibly strong opponent to try and prove himself. Ugh, he can be so childish sometimes. I nod, absent-mindedly scanning the filling room. I'm nervous for Koda-kun though. This'll be his first time really working with us, and I know he's super nervous. But his quirk is so awesome. Hey, did you know he has a rabbit? I blink. Who? Koda-kun, she laughs, and I get the distinct impression she's rolling her eyes. Her gloved hand slaps her forehead, and she sighs. You know the new kid. Oh. I scowl and Toru's hand lowers slowly. Rinchin, do you have a grudge against Koda-kun? I miss Mineta-kun, I answer instead, not looking her way. She snorts, tossing a piece of fruit into her mouth where it disappears. Koda is 10, no 20 times better than that perv, she scoffs. My lips thin. He saved me, I argue quietly. Yeah, she huffs, clearly not convinced. I mean, what do you want me to do? Give him a medal? Don't get me wrong, like I'm totally thankful he did it. But so would everyone else out there. Midoriya, Uraraka, Todoroki, and Shaoji-kun were all trying to save you as well. That doesn't make him a good person. That doesn't make up for all the times he looked up my skirt or made the others feel uncomfortable. I'm not saying he deserved to get hurt, but I won't miss him, she says, anger heating her voice as she suddenly stands. And I don't think you're being very fair to Koda-kun. Now I think I'm going to the restroom. I'll be right back. There's a slight breeze as she leaves. I lean forward and sigh. Good job. I feel the distinct urge to crawl under the buffet table and hide. And get even more stares? I grimace, slouching in my seat to watch as another Shiksu student enters. Unlike before, this one has honey brown hair and a sleek suit not so different from my own. Catching my eyes, she immediately grins and walks over. "Oh hey," the girl laughs, waving as she gets closer. "I know you. You're one of the US students. You look like you've been here for a while. That's lit." I stare, not really understanding why she's here. Thanks." "Yeah, so," she leans close and looks at the food on my plate before plucking a piece of cheese up and popping it in her mouth. "I'm totally curious about you. This is good." My stare turns incredulous. "Did she just eat off my plate?" She asks, sucking on the toothpick attached before releasing it with a sloppy noise. "Why do you want to be a hero?" I blink. I wasn't expecting that. "What kind of hero do you want to be?" You look so thoughtful," she laughs, reaching behind her head in a pose that reminds me immediately of my aunt. I sigh, realizing that's exactly who this girl reminds me of. When she reaches forward to grab another bite of cheese, I just pass her the entire plate. "I want to. To protect my friends," I answer as she gleefully grabs another. Her expression stills when I meet her gaze. Despite her playfulness, there's something sharp beneath it all. I rub at my arm and look away. I won't let anyone hurt my precious people. I'll be strong enough to protect them. The girl in the dark uniform doesn't take another bite. "Oh, would you make them bleed?" I scowl, eyes darting back. "What kind of question is that?" I snap, eyeing her sharply. The brunette's eyes widen even as my lip curls. "I don't want to make anyone bleed, I want to help them. Excuse me." I stand, catching sight of Toru's gloves as she steps back into the room. Crossing the space, I don't look back. Waiting for my classmates feels eerily familiar, like stretching out on the floor, with Miskau wrapping around my knees. Like hot summer meadows full of sweat and pine needles and the endless chirp of birds. Quiet, boring, and with that underlying itch that makes me want to drum my fingers or tap my toes. I occupy myself with my fingers, twisting and pulling them silently as we watch the door. I sigh miserably, wishing they'd just hurry up. What is taking them so long? "I'm sure they're coming," Toru says helplessly, drooping against the table. Personally, I'm not sure if that's for her or me. I don't respond, not really sure what I'd say even if I wanted to. And if they don't? What if we're all that's left? I wish for what feels like the millionth time that we'd gone to find them instead of just moving on. What if they were looking for us? What if someone was hurt? What if villains were here? What if Kaido? I swallow and try very strong not to finish that thought. "And that's 40, rumbles the announcer overhead. "Only 60 spots left and they're filling up fast." I grimace. "What if we have to go on alone?" We should talk about something else while we wait," Toru says, her bubbly persona spiking as she slaps a gloved hand on the table. "I'd rather not." I cringe in the seat and frown. "About what?" "Oh, I know. What's it like living with Sensei? Is he like super strict like he is in class? Or is he goofier like when he thinks he's being funny? Oh, and do him and Present Mike have a thing?" "Huh? Thing?" I ask, furrowing my brows. "What are you talking about?" The invisible girl giggles, her glove moving, and I think she's laying her head against it. "You know, like dating? Are they like secretly married or something?" "Am married?" My brain freezes and all I can do is blink and stare. "Wait, what?" No," I manage dumbly, wishing I could see her face. Instead, my mind just stalls, blank and fuzzy as I struggle to process. Was this a joke? Surely that was a joke, right? They're just friends. "Huh," Toru says, and I make a face at her surprise. "What? Are you serious?" "I mean, yeah," she giggles. "They're always hanging around each other, and you know they did the announcements for the sports festival together. And, I mean, you did do your internship with Present Mix Sensei, and now you're friends with Aizawa Sensei's intern. So, I mean, why not?" I make another weird face. She sounds like Todoroki. "Are you two dating?" I scowl and cringe. Sensei would not appreciate that question. He doesn't date anyone. Marry me. My nose wrinkles as I remember that obnoxious woman. Certainly not green-haired clowns. Or not. I scowl and release a shuddering breath. "Or not what?" I ask, more sharply than may be necessary. I can almost hear Sensei's scowl tone. "I thought you liked Present Mike Sensei," Toru says, confused. "I do like Present Mike," I scowl. "Then why are you making that face?" "Sensei doesn't date," I tell her, disturbed. He just works and sleeps and plays with Miska or wants to talk about stupid feelings. Miska? Toru asks, sounding almost hopeful. Seriously? The cat, I deadpan. Something thumps against the table, and, a moment later, I realize it's probably her head. So weird. Toru-chan? How boring, the invisible girl grumbles, voice muffled by the table. A moment later, there's a rustle as her glove waves, and I think she pulls herself up. I snort. What are your parents like? I ask, more than happy to turn the conversation away. The invisible girl's bright laugh carries, and a few glance our way curiously. And that's 4 to 5, only 55 spots left. Best hurry it up now. Amazing. I love my parents, they're so great. My dad works in economics. He's kinda nerdy, but in a really cute way. And my mom works in fashion. She does a lot of modeling, which is so cool, like super cool. I always said that if I couldn't get into UA, I'd go into fashion like her. I mean, not to brag or anything, but I was pretty good at it. I modeled all through elementary and middle, so I could definitely do it. I blink in surprise. Oh. That sounded fancy. Why become a hero then? I ask quietly, frowning. 'Cause when I was 10, I was saved by a hero, she sighs, almost giddy as her gloves knit together and stretch out. She giggles before returning to the pose, one glove floating midair and the other tapping against the table. Like, he was so amazing. There was a gas leak near our area and everyone was told to evacuate, but there were a ton of people. Mom and I got separated and it was super scary, but he showed up and he carried me out and I furrow my brows. And I wanted to be just like that, she says almost wistfully. I love fashion. I love feeling pretty and making others smile, and I was good at it. But he was pretty, like fashion pretty too, and strong, and I felt so safe and I want to help others feel that same way. I want to be able to show up and look nice, but also just give people a sense of peace. That's why I'm going to be a hero. To show that I can be more than just a pretty face. But people can't see your face, I want to say. I don't. I manage instead, considering the rest of it. A sense of peace. Why do you want to be a hero? Yeah, she sighs again, then looking up she squeaks. Oh, look, is that Todoroki-kun? And, oh it is, it's Yamomo, yes, come on Rinchin, let's go greet 'em, and we can rub it in their faces that they were so late. Really, 50-somethingeth. We were in the teens, ha. I can't help but laugh as well, not resisting when she snags my wrist and rushes forward. I smile from behind, their tired, dusty expressions all the more welcome after such a long wait. They came. I don't even hesitate, separating from Toru to wrap my arms tightly around Momo, the closest. Arinshin? You guys came, I whisper, burying my face against the side of her chest and shoulder fondly. I don't have to look up to know my skin's already brightening to a steady shine, fingers hooking tightly into her uniform. She smells of dust and perfume. And holding so tightly, I can hear the thunder of her heartbeat and the slight tremors of her muscles. You made it. A hand settles against my head, fingers flat against my hair. I glance sideways and blink, wide-eyed, at Kyoka, her face dirty and blood leaking down from her ear, but a knowing smirk stretched wide. Hey Rinchin, miss us? Yes. Nearby, Toru laughs, and even amongst the others, I can hear the sheer relief. TCH, you guys are late. After the first group arrives, it feels like a collapsing dam. One moment 4 of them are in the doorway, tired but grinning, and then my classmates are all streaming in with a steady stream. Momo and Kyoka from the lake, Bakugo, Kirishima, and Kaminari from the bridge, Mina and the new kid, Midoriya, Shoji, and Siro, Uraraka by herself. I wait with bated breath as the countdown races to 100. Will they make it? They just barely do. I hug Ada, the last, as he and Takoyami sweep through the door. That was close. Too close. I squeeze him tighter, Shinsu's nervous scowl slipping through my mind. Did he? I don't have long to ponder it though, because only 5 minutes later, they're showcasing the next section's a rescue, and I force myself to pay more attention this time, reluctant to miss the facts. Terrorist attack. Civilian actors. Rescue and assist. It reminds me immediately of the beach. And for a moment, instead of seeing screens illustrating the rising smoke, it feels like I'm back there again, the open piece of glass in the empty hall stretching across the wall. Dark pillars rise up across the sky, the sound of explosions echoing in the distance, the taste of ash and dust filling my mouth, the smell of burning rubber and asphalt in the air, the overwhelming fear. Idiot girl, follow me. Yamade-sensei kneeling on the ground, blood seeping between his fingers. The fleshy appendage wrapped around my neck, shutting off circulation, cutting off my air. The ground trembles beneath us as the arena is destroyed. The shadows rise. Rinshin, Kirishima says, his shoulder bumping into mine. Hey, you okay? I shiver, blinking as the world comes back into focus, trying to push away the fears, the thoughts, the memories. No. The ceiling gives way a few seconds later, and I'm no longer surprised when the sunlight pours in, nearly blinding, and the walls disappear. There's no time. Chaos erupts around us as the destruction becomes evident. Teams shout, people shove their way forward. Everyone scatters, taking off at a run. Shiksu doing the same. Teisho joins the large bowing boy from earlier and another covered in hair. The cheese-stealing girl, the one with the weird questions, slides another way. Bakugo stomps off towards a different section, Kirishima moving to follow closely. Except he hesitates. Rin. Kirishima-kun? Hakachan squawks Midoriya, wide-eyed and staring in our direction. Come on, Red says, grinning suddenly as he reaches for my hand. Long fingers wrap against my wrist. Let's go keep Bakugo out of trouble. I squeak as he takes off at a run, pulling me with him, and I barely manage a glance behind me before we're hot on the blonde's trail. Kaminari, ahead, turns back and grins. Rinshin. I flush, the fear retreating at such a warm greeting. The screams of terror echoing in the destruction. The children sobs as they hide under Nico's disfigured form. There aren't any screams like that here. Oi, City Hair, why the FCK did you bring her? Dude, Kirishima retorts, fingers still holding tight as we scramble over debris in the opposite direction of the others. That's so unmanly. Yeah, Bakugo. Besides, Rinshin's strong as hell, Kaminari adds, sending me a dazzling wink. I don't know what to say. My mouth opens, but all I manage to do is gape. They want me to. You better not start crying, explosive growls, glancing back my way with narrowed eyes as sharp and bright as that day in the kitchen. I don't know what you're talking about. He turns forward quickly though, and even though he could likely fly over the debris, he stomps up a steep slope instead. I hear someone shouting up ahead. Kirishima grins back at me and lets go. You want to talk about it? He asks as we follow behind the other two. I consider it before shaking my head and taking the opportunity to latch onto my happier thoughts. As we climb across what looks like the remains of a sideways building, the taste of dust thick against my tongue, I struggle to find anything particularly glow-worthy. It just reminds me of the beach, I admit as we scramble over the edge. As soon as we're on top, however, I can see immediately why Bakugo chose it. The building, while not the tallest around, is tall enough on its side to give a wide view of several kilometers of the destruction, the other teams, and the victims. It looks like one of Shin's video games. My eyes water. The beach? Kirishima asks, a hand falling on my shoulder, his expression puzzled. The smoke, I whisper, focusing instead on Bakugo's face as I blink away the tears. You better not start crying. Bakugo ignores me fully, his eyes scanning the space until they settle on a spot not too far away. A small cavity further from the other heroes and wide enough across to house at least 3 or 4 people. He grins, lips pulling back and teeth bared. Gotcha, he laughs, pointing to the distance. Oi, City Hair, extras, let's go. I wrinkle my nose. Rin, I huff at his back. Bakugo throws me an annoyed glance over his shoulder as he slides down the slope side. Kaminari, beside me, laughs loudly, claps my back, and throws himself forward too. Kirishima smiles but hesitates. Hey, you sure you're okay? He asks. I mean, I know we're in a test and all, but if you need a minute. My CHST warms at the kindness. He would give up his advantage for me. My skin brightens to a soft, dusty glow. Thank you, I whisper. Hey, that's what friends are for, he laughs, expression relaxing immediately and sharp teeth visible. Friends. I beam. Then, glancing down and noticing the others halfway down, I grin mischievously. Had Shinzu been with us, he would have recognized the expression immediately. Kirishima, however, only smiled excitedly back. Ready? I ask, concentrating for a moment on positive memories. Is this going to be a daily thing? Sensei huffs, relinquishing the toy to cross his arms. He doesn't look nearly as severe on the floor. Do you need daily affirmations? Yes, Rin, I care about you. Will you say it again? I ask, rolling off the couch to kneel beside him. Without hesitating, I lean on his CHST and pluck a few random hairs off. I care? No, I discard the hairs and meet his eye shyly, pulling at my fingers. Love. He snorts. I love you. The wings explode across my back, bright and arm length and full. I grin at the suddenly confused redhead before reaching out and tackling him in a hug. He squawks, falls backward, and both of us fly off the side of the building. I laugh when he immediately screams, legs kicking as we plummet more than fly. Rin. I've got you, I grunt, holding tightly to his nearly naked chest. I'm heavy. Yeah, I manage, laughing and straining as we glide past Bakugo and Kaminari. Both shout something I can't hear as we soar towards the rapidly approaching ground. We're gonna crash. We don't. Instead, we race across the hilly ground at a flying run, bouncing up and down as Kirishima basically leaps from brick pile to pile with legs spazzing in between. We probably look ridiculous too. Me, grunting to try and hold his weight, with my glowing wings spread and Kirishima in my arms, shouting as he tries to keep up with the pace. By the time we get near our destination, I fan the wings out, slow our pace, and Kirishima drops like a stone the last few inches to the ground. I collapse beside him, red-faced and sweaty and unable not to laugh. Especially when I see his windswept hair. Oh man, he whines, reaching out to run his fingers through the back-swept hair. He looks like Bakugo had after the internships. I choke on a laugh and clutch my stomach as he tries to fix it, catching my breath. Help, help. The amusement immediately dies along with my wings. I stand and quickly scramble to the edge, frowning at the couple below. Hi. The man immediately scowls, one eye twitching, and the woman beside him covers her mouth with a cough. Hi, he repeats, eyes narrowed. -points. We're in the middle of an emergency, terrified because our homes have been destroyed, and you're saying hi. That is not how you greet people in the middle of an emergency. I stare witty down at the grumpy man. Yais, sir. Now let's try that again. The very strange, grumpy man looks down, furrows his eyebrows, and then looks up with suddenly wide, tear-filled eyes. Help, help. Yes, sir, I tell him quietly, slipping down in the crevice and dropping a few meters onto the ground. I rack my brain for a moment trying to think of what to do first. What would Sensei do? I remember the last one and grimace. Is anybody hurt? Only a few SCS, the woman beside him says in a quiet voice. But we've been stuck here since the bombs went off, and we can't get out. What's your name? I realize with a pang, a nightmare would very much not be appropriate. Rin, I tell them with a forced smile. Don't worry, we'll get you out of here. Stop mumbling, the grumpy man says, making a face. Be confident in what you're saying. You look like you're the one that wants to be saved here. The fake smile disappears, and I shrink a little. I'm sorry, I just don't want to mess up. Stop thinking about it like a test then, dear, the woman says gently, patting my shoulder. Think of it like real life. If you found us in this hole, what would you actually do? Save them. Rinchin. Kirishima-kun, I shout back up, only too happy to have a change of subject. It takes a moment, but his messy red hair quickly pops over the side and looks down, thin strands of red resting flat against his head like he couldn't quite get it to stand back up. I'm going to lift these people up. Help. He grins. Yeah, sure, I'll help him once you get him up. Also, Bakugo and Kaminari-kun will be here in a few moments. I nod. Then, concentrating, I summon the shadows. Neither flinches when I wrap the tentacle claws around their bodies, or when I pull them up out of the cavity. Neither of them pales. Neither of them shakes. I don't know how to feel. Once Kirishima has them, I use the claws to pull me up as well. Only, a rough, calloused hand drags me up over the ledge. Bright eyes, blonde hair, and a furious scowl stare back. Oi, idiot. Rin, I remind him again. I don't fc'n care, he snarls. Stop stealing my rescues. Behind him, the old man lets out an annoyed sound. -points, he snaps. What kind of idiot are you? Picking fights in the middle of a rescue. Bakugo stills, eye twitching, and turns with a scowl. What did you say, Grandpa? Bad attitude, the actor grunts. -points again. I quickly lunge and catch his shirt when Bakugo snarls and lunges as well. Let go of me. I'll show him -points. I squeak as he begins immediately exploding his hands. Bakugo, wait, that's so unmanly. Dude, don't kill the civilians. The acting couple, if anything, look even less impressed when I catch a glimpse of their faces. Bakugo-kun, I try, digging my nails in. Please stop, there are others. He dislodges me immediately, face twisted in disgust as I tumble to the dirt. I know that, he snarls. Don't act like I'm stupid. Fine, I'm going ahead. You and City Hair, or whoever can rescue these two damn extras, the old man repeats darkly. Not now, dear, the lady beside him soothes. The barbarian is leaving. Bakugo looks ready to try again, but Kirishima snags and pushes him on quickly, throwing me back an apologetic look. Kaminari, who had been desperately between the blonde and couple, rushes towards them as well. I scowl. Rinchin, we'll meet you at the relief station with another group. You don't mind, do you? I open my mouth, but he's already turned around. Yes, I do mind, I want to tell him, feeling particularly sour. I'm tempted to reach down, grab a stone, and chunk it at their stupid heads. I don't though. Sensei's probably watching, and I'd hate to be grounded during an exam. Plus, they might take points. I give the old man a particularly dark look. He smirks back. Dear, the lady actress says. I'll escort you to the relief station, I sigh. Then turning towards the large flat area that I'd noticed being cleared, I start walking. The attack comes only moments after I drop off the old couple. A loud crash and rumble in the ground beneath me. Shrieks rising in the air from the civilians. Shouts from the student heroes. I pale when I notice the smoke rising in the distance. Villains? Asks Kaido. My stomach twists and drops even as the announcer crackles over the loudspeakers again. Villains have appeared and started their pursuit. Hero candidates at the scene should continue their rescue efforts while also suppressing the villains. Nearby, one of the students breaks out into mutters and curses. Rescue and fight? Seriously. Isn't that Gang Orca? Isn't he like in the top 10? Like nothing, he is number 10. How the hell are we supposed to stop the number 10? I stop listening, instead eyeing the growing storm of figures appearing in the distance. What type of hero do you want to be? I don't consider it, body working on instinct as I take off at a run. Shadows snake from my arms, reaching forward and clawing at the ground. They sling me forward, pushing me faster and faster until I'm forced to fly overhead as the evacuating students and civilians rush beneath me. Ice splits the battlefield, cutting off my view of the attackers. Black, leathery wings erupt from my back mid-jump, and I just barely glance Mina's pink skin below before I'm banking strong. Wind and hair in my eyes, and that familiar fear in my chest as I soar around the ice. A flurry of flames erupting above. What are they doing? I've never seen Todoroki manage anything like that. I dive forward, tucking the wings in close, and immediately spot why. Todoroki is on the ground, body covered in something that looks like cement, the Shiksu boy not far off, covered in the same, and somehow between them a giant fire tornado spinning around the main villain hero Orca. I sweep down beside Midoriya's familiar green and touch down at a run. Hoki-chan. Midoriya, I grunt, releasing my hold on the shadows and glowering as they stretch forward into the wild behemoth from the woods. It stands over us, nearly the same height as the walls of the stadium, with the body of a dog, a giant, misshapen head, and a familiar-looking trunk. I don't bother to stop it as it charges forward, knocking through the villains like it had the trees in the forest, and then crashing into the hole they were streaming from. Whoa, Midoriya manages, eyes wide as a good half of our enemies groan from the ground. Hoki-chan, you're amazing. I flush before immediately dodging out of the way. Gang Orca breaks his cage and all hell breaks loose. I lose sight of Midoriya as the dark figures surround me, guns CC'd and aimed. It's only Sensei's training that has the shields up in time to stop it. I cringe inside, hearing the cement splatter against all sides. Closing my eyes, I blindly form a tentacle and sweep it out and around. Hiding again, rumbles a deep voice. I release the shield and shrink at the familiar boy, his obsidian skin crackled with lava-like veins and black, piercing eyes. I don't want to know, he says flatly, turning and lifting a giant hammer and swinging it forward. It catches 3 in the chest, and I wince at the crunch as they're flung away and don't get up. Your victims aren't getting up either. Why? I ask, hurrying towards him and immediately swiping my tentacles at the villains at his back. I catch 2 but break the gun from the third. Why what? He scowls. Why do you hate me? I ask, uncomfortable when his eyes glitter for a moment in my direction. I don't hate you, he grunts, slamming his hammer into another that hadn't gotten out of the way fast enough. For such a large hammer, he certainly could reverse it quickly. Why? I don't care enough. You are trash, and as such, deserve to be expelled. I glare. Trash, I repeat angrily. The tentacles twist into snakes, their tongues fiery ribbons as my anger takes hold. Throwing my arm forward, I release a black flame that drives forward and divides the rapidly dissolving ranks. A loud buzzer goes off a second later. At this moment, all the Hawk who were deployed have been rescued from the danger zone. It may seem arbitrary, but with this, all the provisional licensing exam procedures have been completed. The rest of you should change, and then stand by. I immediately curl my hands into fists. Taisho, still mid-swing, stops only moments from the villain's CHST. He drops the powerful weapon against the floor and turns to me with a glare. Why? I snap, not moving. Why what? He asks coldly despite his heavy breaths and the gleam of sweat against his rock-like skin. You left Present Mike on the ground bleeding and left. How do I know? Because I was the one to find him and carry him to safety. I was the one to explain to Midnight how you ran away, again, leaving him behind. I flinched, the anger draining away at once. Trash, he repeats again, shoving his way past, and this time I don't stop him. Rin, Present Mike says, his hair still half pulled into a bun, dust and debris on his face. He leans forward, one hand pressing against his stomach. There's a stain there. My hands shake when I see it. The other hand pulls handcuffs from somewhere, tossing them to me. I fumble at their weight as if my arms were asleep. As if my brain won't work. Handcuff him. I want to argue. There's red on the ground. There's red on his hand. I was gonna kill him, I say, not sure why I'm even trying to defend myself. Because he's right, you left him bleeding and alone. The rock boy pauses, but then walks forward. I stare down, a billion strange emotions swelling inside. Sadness, guilt, fear, disgust. Rinchin, Mina shrieks as she collides with me, followed immediately by an invisible body and gloved hands. We did it, we did it, we made it. Come on, let's go change, Toru laughs, squeezing my neck and spinning us in a circle. And stop thinking about that stupid rock bastard. I saw him over here talking. Don't listen to his garbage. You gotta shake it off. Oh, I love that song, squeaks Mina, releasing me to do a lively cartwheel, and then spin with her arms out by her head. Shake it off. Shake it off. Despite all of the dark, horrid emotions in my CHST, I can't but laugh at her antics. Oi, let's go, Bakugo growls, but I don't miss the way his eyes narrow past us at Taisho as well. When he notices my stare, he glares. Don't you dare start crying. I laugh. He makes a face and stomps off immediately. I passed. My body glows with that same weightless brightness as the final exams. My feet dance across the ground, barely touching the floor as I hurry out the main door. Sensei is waiting for us on the stairs, looking bored with his hands stuffed in his pockets and hair moving slightly in the breeze. I pause for a moment to stare, taking in his shaft-lidded eyes, the uneven collection of dark facial hair, and the slight tick of his eyebrow when he notices me. He watched. Rin, he says flatly, and I don't miss the slight smile that curls against his lips. Sensei, I squeak, racing forward. Lights FLC curl across my skin, tiny fireflies and wildflowers, and I don't even hesitate before slamming into his CHST. He doesn't rock back, fully prepared. Instead, one hand rises up to press into my hair, and another slips across my back. My fingers dig into the soft, familiar fabric, the comforting scent of him and home swelling in my CHST. I can't help the tears, the weight of his capture weapon sliding heavily across the top of my head, and I laugh as it rests against my crown. Sensei, I passed. I know, he snorts, but I can hear the pride there, just barely disguised with affection. I hug him closer, pressing my face into the warmth of his CHST. I saw, you touchy kid. Thank you, I whisper, closing my eyes and scrubbing at the tears. He snorts when I bury my face in his CHST and pulls tiny pieces of debris from the tangle's mass that is my hair. It's not something that requires your thanks. The ride back to the school is noisy, chaotic, and exhilarating. It feels especially crazy when random appendages keep accidentally exploding from my skin. Wings burst from my back to choke me on my shirt or slap Todoroki's head. Arms grow like spider legs to pat Kirishima's still flat hair, shake Aoyama's hand, and entice Mina into some sort of elaborate hand game. Daisies carpet my arms and fireflies circle my head. Sensei, predictably, is less than impressed. Rin, control yourself. I try. Seibo, the sparkling blonde exclaims loudly. We are a perfect pair. Sensei, red-eyed, turns in his seat and glares. Unable not to laugh as my hand turns its normal shade, I grin shamelessly up at my dark-haired guardian. No sunglasses? If anything, he looks even more annoyed. Pinching his nose, Sensei gestures sharply for me to move. I do, light rippling across my skin the moment he turns away. I immediately sprout dragonfly wings that smack against Mina's face and Todoroki's head. Toru, beside the pink girl, squeaks and pulls on them, giggling as they dissolve and fall away into glittering dust. I stumble past them both, laughing, nearly skipping through the moving bus to collapse onto the seat beside Sensei. I curl readily into his side, pawing pretentiously at his capture weapon. Sensei. Rin, he repeats, staring upward and adding a drop to each eyes. He blinks and puts them away, making some silent prayer for help. After he ds his arm across my shoulders, fingers squeezing as he pulls me close and sighs. Control yourself. But where are your cat glasses? Not here, he grumps, and I can't help but giggle all the stronger. If he put them on, there was absolutely no way I'd ever manage to stop. But Sensei, I passed, I manage, unable to smother the grin still splitting my face. I really passed. I know, he says, sounding somehow both exasperated and amused. His eyes slide towards me, eyebrow hitching. Did you doubt it? I don't know, I answer honestly. Maybe. I didn't really think about it. Does that even make sense? Not until we were actually there, and then suddenly you were gone and I thought more that you might be watching, and I didn't want to let you down or Toru, 'cause she wanted me there, and it was weird, but it was nice, and. Sensei snorts as I trail off, and I squirm, flustered, until he squeezes again. Is that why you decided to fly off a building side with Kirishima in your arms screaming? I flush hotly. Eno. He spares me a look before his lip twitches upward in that stupid, teasing grin. I groan, stuffing my face into the warm fabric of his hero uniform. Sensei. He chuckles, hands sliding from my shoulder to my hair, dragging through the long strands familiarly. It's comforting and warm and nice. And I melt against him boneless. Torichin and I made 15th and 16th, I mutter a few minutes into the silence. I look up and pull slightly against his shirt, smiling when I draw back his eye. Sensei, we were the first in our class to get through the first part. I noticed. It was awful waiting though, I wrinkle my nose at the memory. Once you were inside you couldn't go back out and nobody came for forever. Toru kept saying they would, but it didn't feel like it. She also said I shouldn't hate the new kid. I told her I don't, and I mean, it isn't that I hate him, it's just that he's not Mainta. And then she said that she was glad Mainta-kun wasn't here and that Kukuda. Yeah, that Kuda was 10, no 20 times better. Sensei blinks blandly. I wait for a beat for his response and then frown. You're supposed to agree with me, I tell him sourly. I think that is a conversation for the couch, he says with a hint of amusement. I groan. But Sensei, may I whine, dragging the end out. And when the others arrived? I purse my lips, fully seeing his attempt at changing subjects. It was great, I tell him with the flattest tone I can manage. How was your time with the obnoxious clown lady? Sensei actually frowns, expression instantly disapproving. Missed joke. You're not actually dating her, are you? I ask, the light fully dying from my skin as I glower. Sensei's disapproval grows. He narrows his eyes and levels me with one of his sterner stares. I twitch in the seat before crossing my arms and glancing away. Marry me. Weirdo. We will discuss it later, he says with an edge that makes me scowl. Of course we will, I growl, rolling my eyes. Should I start a list? If you need to, he says, unmoved, though I can hear the underlying warning. You can also spend some time breathing because we are not going to start a clearly emotional discussion on a bus filled with your peers. You can contain your curiosity and disrespect until we get home. Fine, I huff, glowering. Sensei raises an eyebrow and stares. Unable to keep his gaze, I glare at the floor. Fine, I repeat, sullenly. I would suggest, he says slowly, that you pull out your phone and text Hitoshi. I send him a dirty look. And then, reaching down, I pull my phone from my bag and immediately open it to my contacts. I'm going to message Yamada-sensei, I tell him sourly. At least he'll care that I passed. Sensei, if anything, looks less impressed. He doesn't say anything though, and I take the moment to lean against him stronger, and if it's perhaps a little more than necessary, well, he doesn't mention it, so I type out a quick message. Hi Sensei. I passed. I send another to Aunt Nimiri before pulling up Shinsu's contact. I debate what I'm going to say for only a moment. Hitoshi, I passed. Did you? How did you do? Did you make it? Aunt Nimiri's response comes first. It's a selfie of her grinning at the camera and throwing out a peace sign. I don't recognize the room, so I can only assume it's her living room with a large gray couch and sea green walls. Underneath, a small message appears. Great job, Rinshin. I'm so proud of you. I knew you could do it. I smile and perk, immediately waving the phone over towards Sensei's face. Look. Sensei releases an amused puff of air and holds my hand still long enough to see the message. His lips thin, however, when he sees the picture. I don't pay much attention to it though, distracted instead by Shinsu and Yamada-sensei's replies. I switch to the blondes first. Way to go, glowworm. I'll want some takeout to Tuesday. I blink at that, surprised. Sensei, I ask. Yes. Yamade-sensei wants to know if we want takeout Tuesday. Do you? I grin, trying to do the one with all teeth like he does. A change from the many different flavors of chicken and veggies. Absolutely. Yes. I hurriedly pull the message back up and send my response. Yes, thank you. I switch quickly to Shinsu's and grin. Congrats. Yeah, I passed. I squeal. Sensei sighs. Rin, he says warningly when my skin turns blindingly bright. Sorry, I squeak, immediately concentrating to make it go away. I twist in the seat as well, turning so I can lean my back against his side and pulling his arm over my CHST. I grin and hug it closely with one arm, and with the other immediately type out my reply. Yay, see, I knew you could do it. Are you excited? I'm excited. I can't stop glowing. Sensei's kinda getting annoyed by it, and he made me move. Hitoshi, you're gonna be a hero. I'm not getting that arm back, am I? Sensei huffs, not bothering to move. No way, I reply, leaning my head back to grin at him. It's mine now. My phone dings, and I quickly open the newest message. Yeah, it's just strong to believe. I pause at the oddly flat statement. Not that he ever giggles or anything, but it seems lacking. Is something wrong? I type back, eyebrows furrowing. I had expected him to be happier. No, it's fine. You sound excited. Are you driving Sensei batty? I try to imagine Sensei with my shadow wings. It's surprisingly easy, hunched in a corner and scowling at his class for waking him from a nap. No, he's beside me. I think he's trying to sleep, but I stole his arm and I keep glowing, and I think his eyes might hurt 'cause he got annoyed and used them. But Hitoshi, you don't sound happy. What's wrong? Was someone mean to you? There was a mean guy from the beach at mine. He kept saying mean things that Toru told me to ignore. Did someone do that to you too? I wait, lips twitching down as the seconds take longer and longer, and the little read check appears at the bottom. Someone was mean to you. I scowl and type out a new message. Stop that. We're talking about you. The 3 little dots appear instantly. Impatiently, I wait for his response. I'm just disappointed. Nobody is being mean. Even though everyone passed, I won't get my license until after I acquire enough hero hours. Vlad-sensei says he should be able to help me get them in a few weeks, but it's just aggravating because even though I'm in the program, I'm still so far behind. I frown at that. He wasn't going to get his license. My phone dings before I can consider it much further though. Now what are you talking about? Did someone hurt you? Did you tell Sensei? I read over his previous message again before furrowing my brows. Sensei. Yes, he sighs tiredly, obviously exasperated. Shinso-kun passed, but he said that he won't be able to get his license. No, he doesn't have enough hours. Why? I ask quietly, twisting in my seat to look up at him. Sensei doesn't open his eyes, dark hair hanging around his scruffy face in a mess of waves that looks like it needs to be brushed. But with his eyes closed, I can't help but notice how young he looks. How peaceful. You and your classmates did internships as well as hero classes with All Might once a week, Sensei says. While that was for training purposes, it also counted towards the experience hours needed. UA curriculum is set up to push you through the material at a faster pace than most other schools, which is why it's so competitive. But Shinso-kun did an internship, I point out, confused. He did it with you. He did, but that was only a week. You've been doing training courses at least once a week for months. But what about all the time you worked with him this summer, I ask. Most of that doesn't count because of the lack of active time spent patrolling or working in scenarios with peers. It would have been classified as tutoring more than anything, but that isn't on the list of acceptable alternatives. It will work out fine though. Vlad has already arranged enough activities after school to allow him to catch up. Oh, I mutter, looking back at the screen when it dings. Rin? I frown and consider my answer. Sorry, I was asking Sensei why all the time this summer didn't work. He said it was considered tutoring. The check for read pops up the moment the message is sent. His response is just as immediate. I know. Stop avoiding the question. Question? I respond teasingly. What question? Who is mean? I'm not sure I trust your definition of mean. Are you hurt? I pout at that. How rude. No, I'm not hurt. And what do you mean you don't trust my definition? Mean is when people aren't nice. He said I was trash and told me he wished I was expelled. I send the message, and then instantly regret it. Sinking a little in my seat, I quickly type out something less, just less. Shinsu, however, responds before I get a chance. Have you mentioned that to sensei? 'Cause that's annoying. People shouldn't just randomly come up to you and say crap like that. Do you even know this guy? You said he was at the beach. Don't tell me he was involved in that stupid bush nonsense. I frown and glance at the hands still DD across my front. I don't open my mouth though. No, we met at the party. He said he found Yamada-sensei after he got hurt, and Yamada-sensei got hurt because of me. Shinsu's response is a scowling emoji followed quickly by 3 very angry-looking ones. I blink at them. You made a mistake. Did Present Mike forgive you? I nod, before realizing he can't see it, and then timidly type in the message yes. Then he's an idiot. I still think you should talk to sensei about it. But he's wrong, you deserve your spot in the hero course just as much as anyone else there. And he's trash if he's saying stupid shit like that about people he doesn't even know. I smile fondly at the message, almost hearing his annoyance in every word. Thank you, I write back quickly. Yeah, whatever, don't make this sappy. My skin brightens. Rin, sensei warns. I extinguish it quickly and lean back against him, smiling shyly as I crane my head back towards the dark-haired hero. Sorry, sensei. He doesn't even open his eyes. HN. The apartment is quiet in comparison to the day. Quiet, cozy, and warm. Home. I sink onto my side of the couch and sigh in relief at the familiar smells, at Miska's comforting purr, and the softness of her fur beneath my fingers. It's easy to doze there, a blanket thrown over my legs and my hair spilling over the arm of the couch, the sound of water and dishes a distant lullaby. I don't remember falling asleep. Only the touch of warm, damp fingers on my cheek when I wake. Sensei? I mumble, blinking slowly up at the dark-haired man. Looking far more relaxed than he has in weeks, he smiles, not that stupid one, but the tiny one reserved just for us. I can't help but glow, my skin brightening to a dusky gold beneath his fingers. Don't fall asleep out here, you have a bed for that. I flush and laugh, wiggling under the blanket and curling my toes. He raises an eyebrow, still bent forward. Okay. He lets out a short huff of amusement, his hand moving to rub Miska's ears. She purrs, stretches out, and bumps her head against him, clearly begging for more. Remember classes start tomorrow, do you have everything ready? Is your bag packed? I wrinkle my nose. Mostly. He chuckles, straightening, and offers a look. Get it done before 8. I huff and watch as he walks away. As soon as he's out of sight, I turn to Miska and roll my eyes. Get it done before 8, I mime in a much higher voice. The cat looks at me oddly, and I make a face. He thinks he knows everything. Miska doesn't reply, so I kiss her nose and roll her over onto the couch. She rolls pliably, legs flailing in the air, and I can't help but laugh at the dirty look she sends me when she gets stuck between the cushions. Packing for school takes almost no time, like not even 5 minutes. I stuff my bag with notebooks, pens, and extra clothes, just in case, as sensei would say. It's barely enough to occupy myself, and when I finish, I fall onto my bed and sigh. School. I grimace at the thought of it. Not that I don't like UA, honestly it was probably the best school I'd ever been to. I'd met sensei there and Shinsu and Yamada-sensei and my classmates. But school meant people, and it also meant 8 hours of sitting at desks and doing math and I finger the tiny card in my pocket, the one I still hadn't really looked at. Crisp edges, thick layers, and a far too familiar face mine. I passed. I had a provisional hero license. I was going to be a hero. Would Daddy hate it? Would he see me and remember the man that broke his jaw? Would Ryu snatch it and throw it as far as he could? Would Sora? Would it just be another thing for Kaido to hate about me? FCK heroes. FCK your stupid quirk. Go be one if you want, it's not like you ever did sit for us anyways. I sigh miserably into the comforter. He hadn't been at the test. It was probably horrible, but I almost wish he had. Secretly, I'd maybe even hoped he would be. At least then I'd have known where he was. I'd have known what he was doing. He couldn't hurt others if he was hurting me. But he hadn't shown up, he hadn't come, hadn't tried to ruin everything again. There'd been no attack, no real one anyways. No one hurt Mainta, no one dead Yuasin Shin. Kaido. Why? Ryu managed to get custody of Kaido approximately 3 months before things fell apart. And Mama. My stomach churns nauseatingly. I expect you to tell me when something's wrong. I stand. Scrubbing at my face and the tears welling there, I search for Sensei. It doesn't take long, especially when he's not in the living room. I head immediately for his door, knocking in 3 sharp raps despite it being half open already. He's sitting at his small desk in the corner. He looks up, frowning, eyebrows furrowed as he takes in my expression. Rin? I hesitate. What do I even say? Are there even words for this? Pulling at my fingers, I suck in a deep breath, lingering there in the doorway just a second more before taking a step in. Sensei merely waits, patient as I fumble for the words and expressions to explain any of the jumbled feelings swirling through my brain. Mama used to do my hair, I admit. Is she the one who taught you to braid? Aunt Nimiri asks, voice soft. No, Kaido did. Mama brushed it though. She didn't like tangles. She said pretty girls shouldn't have tangles. Sensei, why? Why do people become villains? Why did Kaido become a villain? Sensei pauses before pushing back the chair to stand. He crosses the room, hand automatically falling against my head, fingers sweeping through the loose strands still unraveled from earlier. Rin. Do you know? I ask, surprised at the desperation I can hear in my own voice, at the tremors in my fingers as they latch to his shirt. Sensei, is there some any reason? Sensei? He wasn't bad before. He wasn't cruel or mean or evil. He hated being mean. He used to braid my hair, and he taught me to read and... My guardian sighs as the words fail me again, steady arms pulling me close. My lip trembles. Tears seep from my eyes. He loved me. Sensei leans forward then, his rough thumb brushing under my eye. I sob and press forward, unable to stop the tears, dampening his shirt and more than likely stretching the fabric. Yes, I have some idea. Some part of me forgets to breathe. I snap back, staring wide-eyed up, and Sensei frowns, looking tired in a way I've never seen. Almost sad. He doesn't smile, jaw set and hand lingering against my head. Sensei? I've told you before that your brother is unwell. I flinch. He wasn't. I know, Sensei interrupts, cutting me off. He steps away, sweeping the few loose strands from his face back and rubbing his neck. He hesitates, barely a moment, before sighing heavily. I frown. From what I've gathered of the investigation, something occurred while Kaido was in the foster home. Nothing conclusive's been brought forward, but whatever it was, we believe it affected his mental health severely. Your brother, Ryu, also admitted he was struggling even after getting custody. Struggling, I repeat, barely able to understand. With what? Kaido would disappear sporadically without warning and prone to manic bursts of rage. We believe your mother's death was the catalyst for his criminal occupation. I stare. Catalyst? Manic rages. I suddenly remember his scar, thick and webbed and crawling up his cheek. Mutilated, a lot like Nico. You think he was abused? I realize, eyes widening in surprise. Sensei nods slightly, gaze heavy. Like me goes unsaid. It feels monumental. Mind heavy with 1,000 thoughts. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I just stare. Then, realizing what I'm doing, turn away. Sensei doesn't stop me. Doesn't call as I wander blankly about the house. A cup of water, an empty look at my packed bag. Abused? I don't know what to think. That night, I don't sleep well. I wake frequently, haunted by dreams and thoughts of Kaido, of Mama, of Sensei throwing back shots at a too familiar table. Hands digging into too soft sheets and eyes watering in a darkened room. It takes too long to catch my breath. Just a dream. Exhausted after the third one, I slip out from beneath the covers. The bathroom floor is cold beneath my socks, the lights too bright. The girl in the mirror stares back with redrimmed eyes. I take in her dark hair and 2 full cheeks, at the strange softness to Mama's jaw and openness of Kaido's eyes. You think he was abused? I splash water on my face and try to chase away the thoughts. Instead, I pad towards the living room, frowning at Miska seated strangely in front of the apartment door. The scent of freshly made coffee soothing in the silence. Sensei's favorite bowl perched at the edge of the counter. Something wiggles in the back of my mind. It takes too long to realize what's missing. Sensei. Straightening, I breathe deeply and furrow my brows. Why was he not drinking the coffee he clearly made? More than that, why was he not fussing that I was wandering around? Normally, the moment he heard running water he would be out, arms crossed and glowering. Go to bed. I glance towards the bathroom and his open door. Sensei, I croak. The silence alone is enough to make my chest squeeze. Sensei? I ask again, louder this time, wavering slightly with panic. I don't walk so much as stride quickly through the hall, sliding through Sensei's open door with more energy than entirely necessary. It's empty. His hero uniform laid out on the bed, a pile of papers laid out on his desk beside his too bright computer. I frown at the work, only half completed on his desktop. I focus on Sensei's uniform, still crumpled on the bed, and the distinct lack of capture weapon. Something's wrong. I don't really consider what I'm doing. Turning sharply, I'm at the front door before I can even think. Shadows unfurling under too-tight skin. It's unlocked. The wrongness hits me immediately. The door is unlocked. Sensei never forgets to lock it. I jerk it open and shake, stumbling into the lobby. Darkness FLC curs at my fingertips. If it's Kaido. The lights, normally bright and cheery, are clearly dimmed. The empty green chairs arranged haphazardly. No signs of a fight. It's not enough. I stalk around the edges of the room, body tight as I try to move soundless. The light from the kitchen spill out into the lobby, and as I approach, I can hear the muffled noises. Sit still. FCK. It's Sensei's annoyed baritone that finally calms the rapid pace of my heart. He's okay. Shadows dispersing, I rub at my eyes and breathe. Sensei. There's a distinct pause as I shuffle towards the kitchen, almost like a sudden breath, and when I finally pass close enough to peer inside, I can't help but blink. Midoriya and Bakugo seated on 2 wooden stools. Bloody lips and a blackened eye. A patch of skin rubbed raw against Bakugo's head. A burn shining on Midoriya's cheek. I stare at the injuries, mind whirling, locked in place. Rin, Sensei growls, dark eyes narrowed as he turns, almost bodily towards me. What are you doing awake? Go to bed. I don't move. They didn't look like that before. What happened? I manage. Maybe it's the lack of sleep. Maybe it's the nightmares I'd only just awoken from. It comes out smaller than I meant. I stare at Midoriya's visible, purpling shoulder and shake. He hadn't been at the exam. Was this him? Did Kaido? Sensei, strangely enough, looks angrier than before. He glares at both boys, a bottle of rubbing alcohol in one hand and a pair of tweezers and a white gauze in the other. Midoriya almost looks sheepish. Bakugo annoyed. TCH, that loser. No, he cuts him off, brow ticking dangerously as the blonde abruptly quiets. Your brother hasn't been spotted anywhere within the vicinity. Rin, I'm busy. All Might, please escort Rin back to her room. I blink. And then, noticing the tall, scraggly man with 2 bright eyes and sunshine hair, flinch. If Sensei notices, he doesn't deign to give either of us a response. Nostrils flared, he instead dips the gauze in the alcohol and presses it more firmly than perhaps necessary against the broad scope of Midoriya's shoulder. The green-haired boy leans away, letting out a muted hiss even as his eyes screw up in pain. I skirt immediately out of the blonde's reach. Young Rin. I can walk myself, I snap, glaring at Sensei and then the blonde. Without waiting, I turn on my heel and leave. Toshi All Might follows more sedately. Like a kicked puppy. I scowl and make it barely meters down the hall before he's coughing. I glance back, only to be sure he's not spitting blood or something ridiculous. He smiles back awkwardly. Young Rin, have you considered your hero work studies? I narrow my eyes. Hero what? The blonde flushes hotly, immediately mumbling something. It reminds me, uncomfortably, of Midoriya. The hero work studies, the gaunt man gushes. Now that you have your license, you'll be able to work under other heroes, young Rin. Have you considered who? I would think Hawks, but I understand you and young Takoyami have something of clashing quirks. Still, there are others. I make a face. Hawks? Who? Toshinori nearly trips. The number 3 hero. The winged hero. Hawks? Don't tell me you've never. Number 3. I wrinkle my nose grumpily. Am I supposed to? He stares back witty-eyed. Well, maybe. Disgusted, I shake my head. Then, arriving at Sensei's door, quickly shove it open. I stand there for an awkward moment, door open and Miska observing me from the couch. Toshinori behind me, clearly still witty-eyed waiting. Waiting for something. Young Rin, about I understand. I hesitate. Memories of him and a couch and kindness warring so dangerously with him. Tall and overbearing and so huge he could crush you in a breath. He lied. Young Rin. I cut him off with a glare, walking off before he even finishes. I'm half asleep on the couch when Sensei finally returns. He doesn't look happy, hair in a disarray and lips curled in what looks like a permanent frown. I glower back automatically. Why are you still up? He scowls, shuffling over as he pulls off his capture weapon. He drops it on one end, and then slumps onto the cushion beside me, nearly sitting on my legs. I move them quickly, quiet as he leans back and sighs. It's well past your bedtime. Nightmares. His shoulders slump. Raising a hand, he wipes it across his face. Do you want to talk about them? Definitely not. No. With only his chin in sight, I frown at his second sigh. Are you okay? He doesn't look over, doesn't even seem to acknowledge me. I stare, brows furrowing. Then, hesitant, I shift closer. When he still makes no move to answer, I touch his arm, pressing against the dark fabric of his shirt before slowly encircling him in a hug. He doesn't move, silent as I press my face against his shoulder, inhaling his scent. Sensei. It's fine, he sighs, shaking off one arm to hug me back. Despite the warmth and comfort of the hug, I don't like the defeat in his tone. Did something happen? Not relating to you or your brothers. Related to Midoriya and Bakugo? I can't answer that. I frown. So yes. Pulling back, I try to meet his eye. He refuses. Is it about them being hurt? Dropping a hand on my head without looking, he pulls me back to his CHST and huffs. Rin, he says, and it's so full of his typical annoyance that I can't help but relax against him. Either change the subject or go to bed. I pout, shoving away his hand. But you're supposed to talk when you're upset, I argue sharply. Twisting onto my knees, I press my palms against his nearest shoulders and steady myself with a scowl. Positioned now at eye level, I glower at his surprised expression. It's rule number 1. He blinks clearly irritated eyes. Then, slowly, smirks. Oh. I wrinkle my nose and glower, before having a sudden idea. Launching myself across his middle, I snag up his capture weapon and drag the heavy thing over my head. I straighten victoriously, fixing my face in one of his stupid grins. Yes, I'm Aizawa Shouda, so you have to talk or I'm gonna ground you. This is your warning. He snorts, reaches out, and pulls at the pile of heavy fabric. As soon as he does, it settles much more comfortably against my neck. I marvel at the difference before pinning him with a narrowed look. Hey, don't try to change the subject. I let the shadows pool at my neck, let them swim up my neck and swirl into my hair. Now explain. Sensei blinks back as my hair spins above me just like his own. And something odd seems to pass across his face. He abruptly stands, one arm hooking under my legs, and almost weightlessly lifts both of us upright. I abandon all impersonations and squeak, quickly clinging to his neck as the shadows disperse and my hair sinks back to my shoulders. It's time for bed. Wait, but... Before I can even finish the thought, he's retaken his capture weapon and deposits it across the back of the chair. He doesn't even break stride on the way to my room. Sensei. I latch onto his neck as he deposits me onto my bed. Sensei. Fingers reach out and wiggle across my sides. I abandon his neck in an instant, rolling sideways with a squeal and shoving the 2 nearest pillows between us. He smiles back, and I pause at the fondness there. At the love. Sensei. Yes, Rin? Will you say it again? I ask quietly, burrowing under my sheets and wiggling back closer so my arm presses against his legs still on the bed. My daily affirmation. He laughs, the sound low in his throat. Then his hand reaches out, sweeping across my forehead and hair. I love you. Buried in the soft, warm sheets, I glow. The next day begins tedious and slow. Exhausted from staying up so late, I shuffle behind my classmates yawning. The assembly arrived to is even more boring. Principal Nedzu spends forever talking about his fur of all things. Classes are dull. Yamade-sensei is loud. The book we're reading in literature is boring. And, honestly, the day just seems to drag on forever. By the time lunch rolls around, I just slump into a seat, wondering if I should abandon lunch and maybe try and sneak in Sensei's yellow sleeping bag. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. Except, he's probably in it. I rub my eyes and sigh. When I open them, I blink at the 2 strangers joining me. Hi, says a pretty blonde, with large blue eyes, a rather perky expression. I blink again and wonder if I'm hallucinating. Hi? She doesn't go away. Neither, for that matter, does the boy, though he does seem highly amused. I furrow my brows and frown. I'm Makoto, squeaks the blonde immediately, squirming in her seat as she breaks into a large grin. But you can call me Mako. I know we've never met, but I feel like we've known each other for ages. Hideshi-kun talks about you sometimes. I mean, not a lot. But he doesn't really talk about anything a lot, you know? And when he does talk about something, it's usually work, or studying, or hero-related. But if not those, then it's you. So hi, it's nice to meet you. I blink and try to process all of that. What? Hi again. The dark-skinned boy beside her snorts. Ignore her. She's been bullying Toshi for ages to come meet you. I'm Daesuk, by the way. Pulling myself up in a sitting position, I try to remember my manners. It's strangely difficult. Why are these people here? Hoki Rin, I mutter. Ah, you're so quiet, Makochan says, face splitting into a grin. I bet you're shy. Sometimes I get shy, but not really. Oh, my quirk is orange, by the way. I bet you've never heard of something like that. Ha, that's because it's utterly useless. I can smell like oranges. Wanna see? I follow her excited fluttering witty. It's like watching a train wreck. She cackles, tugs back her sleeve, and then surges over the table, nearly knocking over her plate in the motion. Daesuk, beside her, makes a noise, but it goes unheard. Instead, she suddenly thrusts her exposed wrist under my nose. I nearly slide out of my seat. I don't know what to do. Sniff it, she squeals. Witty, I inhale quickly. The boy, Daesuk, groans. Mako. Just kidding, she laughs, slipping back and grinning. What did it smell like? What? Arm, I answer stiffly, eyes narrowing. Are these really Hitoshi's friends? I'm saved from asking it aloud as Hitoshi slides in the seat beside me, expression sour and tray smacking against the table loudly. Makochan, he snaps. What are you doing? Showing me her quirk, I answer for her, giving them both a look. Daesuk palms his head and Mako grins, sheepish. Orange, apparently. I was kidding, Mako whines, shrinking under Hitoshi's glare. She turns to me and flaps her hands nervously. Sorry, I just got excited. You're an idiot, Daesuk mutters. I'm inclined to agree. Why are you two here? The purple-haired boy interrupts, eyes narrowed and arms crossing. I thought we were meeting after school. Daesuk channels a very impressive Eurenidiot look. To eat lunch, obviously, he says, picking up his utensils. Then, pretending like the blonde's weird moment didn't just happen, he takes a bite and scowls. Dude, classes are boring without you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm excited for Ja. If anyone deserved to be transferred, it was definitely you, but it's not the same. I furrow my eyebrows as the girl pouts and nods glumly. I shift in my seat, suddenly uncertain. Maybe I should go. I can move, I tell Hitoshi, immediately noticing his regret. He opens his mouth, but the blonde quickly cuts him off. Move, Makochan says, eyes widening. Is it because of my joke? I'm sorry, I really am. I'm awful at first impressions, but I can do better. Oh, let me try again. Here, hi, my name's Suzuki Mikoto, but I go by Mako to anyone I like. I like having fun and singing karaoke and really anything loud. My favorite subject is math and I hate English, but I really like present mix and say. My quirk is really stupid, but it's not orange. I can make my nails light up, see? This time she doesn't stuff her hand in my face, and instead squishes up her nose in concentration. It takes a few seconds. Sensei would make her work on that, but her nails eventually glow a dull, sickly green. She waves them excitedly as they fade away. Oh, they've been trying to meet you for months, Hitoshi sighs, shaking his head. You can go if you want, but they sat over here to talk to you too. To me? I frown, glancing towards the girl, face eager, and the boy smiling disarmingly back. But, why? I heard you liked our marshmallow competition, the boy, Daesuk, says in a much more even tone. He winks and tilts his head. You want to try for yourself? Oh, I brought marshmallows, Mako says, dancing in her seat. I always have extra marshmallows. I want to compete. I bet I can beat you this time. Last time you cheated and made me sneeze. Hitoshi, beside me, raises an eyebrow. And that's not suspicious, he says dryly. How long have you two had this planned? Us, teases the blonde, grinning widely. All break. Daesuk, leaning forward, ignores them both. Well, he asks, eyebrows wiggling unnecessarily. Think you can beat me, hero girl? I narrow my eyes dangerously. Hero girl? Is he serious? Are you suggesting I can't? I don't know, Daesuk, Hitoshi says, glancing my way and scratching a small bump on his chin. She does have a pretty big mouth. I glower. Excuse me. But then again, so does he, so who knows? The other boy flips him a bird. I bark out a laugh, surprising even myself, and that seems to be all the reply Mako needs. Reaching into her bag, she pulls out 3 massive bags of half-squished marshmallows, a pair of sunglasses, comics, a bag of makeup, and a crumpled-up Ziploc of napkins. This is ridiculous. I take my pile regardless. Think you can beat me, hero girl? Absolutely. Tasha-kun, you're the judge. Don't call me that, the purple-haired boy huffs. He judges anyways.
I win.
While I'm sure many of you are eager to sign up for the hero work studies immediately, you should hold off and focus your attention on your studies. The faculty intends to vote on it in the next few days, and I'll inform you when we've come to a decision. As a reminder, you are all not allowed to speak of this to your 2 missing classmates. You should not share notes, explain information, or do anything that constitutes helping them catch up. They brought this on themselves, am I understood? The class choruses yes, sirs, and Aizawa-sensei nods. Very well, you're dismissed. Before he can gather his things and leave, I spring up from my desk. Sensei, I squeak excitedly. He looks up and sighs at the commotion, expression melting into annoyance when I grin innocently back. Around us, my classmates, already packing, titter in amusement. Kaminari and Kyoka snickers, Kirishima beams, and even Takoyami seems to smile, though that's a little tough to tell with a beak. Why are you making so much noise? He asks sourly. I wiggle, barely able to contain myself. 'Cause I'm amazing. Momo, now occupying Mainta's old seat in front of me, giggles into her hand. Sensei's lip twitches. Are you now? He asks, clearly deciding to humor me. And what have you done? Light spills across my skin instantly. I got Ectoplasm Sensei's question right. It was super long, but I got it right on the first try. I gush, pulling at my sleeves and dancing in my spot. Nobody in class looks particularly surprised. I'd been FLC curring on and off all afternoon, much to Aunt Nimuri's delight. And at lunch, I won the marshmallow competition. Hitoshikan's friends sat with me at lunch, and we had a competition to see how many marshmallows someone could stuff in their mouth. Makochan only got like 6, but that's because she wouldn't stop laughing. Daisukekin got 12, but I managed 14. Sensei looks like he doesn't know whether to smile or scowl. Instead, he turns to the rest of the class still loitering by their seats. Do you all need extra lessons? I snicker as they clear out instantly. Then, packing my bag, I quickly cross the room and hug him. He sighs and lets me, almost looking fond. I lean my head back and smile. I want a kiss. He raises an eyebrow. And you think I answer your demands? I stick out my tongue. Yes, if not, I'll go ask my classmates for one. I bet if I glow, Dark Shadow will give me one. Sensei snorts, leans forward, and drops his lips against my head. I squeak when the rough hairs on his chin tickle my nose. He shakes his head. What have you been eating? He asks, pushing me away. Go get your things. You have an appointment with the therapist this afternoon. I pout but do, spinning in little circles before grabbing my bag and spinning back. Sensei waits for me at the door, seeming bewildered. The walk to Chilotho's room is incredibly fun, probably because I keep playing with my glow. Sensei shuffles in his normal walk, and I attempt to teach my glowing arms shadow puppets, except without shadows at all. Walk properly, he huffs when I nearly slip on the floor, not paying attention. I flush. Chilotho is waiting for us when we arrive. Without hesitating, I grin at the tall, dark-skinned woman and slide into the room, going straight for the couch. My papers and markers are waiting for me, and I twist immediately to show him. Sensei, however, lingers in the doorway, looking uncomfortable. I pat my seat, and he walks stiffly over. Look, Sensei, I say, pulling out some of my drawings. They're all on the bottom, and I pick the best to show him. Look what I made. He takes the 3 I hand him, and I can feel him slowly begin to unwind. It's Miska and Yamade-sensei and us. At the last page, his face turns strangely blank. Ah, Rinchin, welcome. Aizawa-san, thank you for coming. Sensei drops the papers and leans back. It's not like the way he does at home, though. There he just sort of slides down and droops. This seems more rigid, tight. You said you wanted to see me, he retorts dryly. I pull some blank paper over and begin to draw. Yes, she says, her thick accent warming. I've never met anyone with an accent like hers. I kinda wonder where she's from. I wish to speak to you and Rinchin about her journal. I blink and glance up. The emotion one? I ask, furrowing my eyebrows. She nods, hands settled on the small paper pad on her lap. I open my bag and pull out the thin notebook she had given me. It wasn't like normal notebooks, with little circles for your emotions and numbers beside to rate their scale, and then little lines to put the date and an explanation at the end to add notes. We'd done the first together, taping a couple cheat sheets as she called them to the front. I hesitate to hand it over. Are you going to read it? I ask nervously. She shakes her head and smiles. She has a really nice smile. Not unless you ask me to, she says lightly. It is yours, isn't it? I look away, strangely relieved. If you would, the woman says, going on. Silently read through the entries. You've been using it all week, yes. I nod and quickly open it to the front, scanning the day. Sad, happy, sad, mad. I'm surprised at the sheer number of emotions I logged, well aware I hadn't always tried. What patterns are you seeing? There's a lot, I admit, flipping the page. Sensei, beside me, snorts. Yes, Chilutho says, lips twitching up as well. But take a moment to examine the intensity. What numbers do you see the most? I frown. 5, 9, 7, 3, 8, 7. There's a lot of high numbers, I mumble, suddenly unsure. Is that weird? Sensei's arm slides across my shoulders immediately, and I kind of wish we were at home so I could curl up against him. Something tells me doing that here would not be okay. Chilutho shrugs. Weird is an impractical quantifier, she says, and I'm struck by the odd phrasing. She can't lie. Is it standard compared to your peers? If I were to compare you to the average civilian, no. Compared to others with your particular background, absolutely. It's why I wish to speak with you both. I furrow my brows. Us both. She turns her dark eyes to Sensei and my insides churn. Rin exhibits symptoms of multiple diagnoses, including PTSD, generalized anxiety, depression, and what may or may not be a mood disorder. According to her own data, her emotions are overwhelming. I am aware that Shuzenjisen has suggested medication. I would like to know if you have considered it further. I swallow. Sensei sighs. Medicine? I ask quietly. Am I sick? The tall woman turns to me and frowns. No, she says, and the honesty in that one word is like a soothing balm. But the trauma inflicted upon you by others is bleeding into your everyday life. Here. She cuts off and flips through her notepad, stopping when she comes to a certain page. In a quick motion, she tugs it loose and places it between us. It's an illustration. 2 boxes sit side by side and filled with 4 colors. In the first, the yellow one covers most of it with green, pink, and blue being pushed to the sides. I frown as I read the tags. Self-respect, healthy attachment, positive emotions. The large yellow one, the impact of trauma, has little arrows pushing out of it. You are not equipped to prescribe medicine, Sensei says, folding his arms. So I fail to see the relevance of this discussion. It is relevant because you signed a medical waiver, Chilutho responds evenly. I have already spoken to Recovery Girl, and she is willing to write the prescription based on our shared data. I wish to know if you have considered it and to answer questions as I am able. My eyes slide to the other square. Unlike the previous, the yellow blob in this one is much smaller, nearly the same as the others with green, pink, and blue taking up their own corners. I look up and frown at Sensei's downturned lip. The side effects are unacceptable, he says flatly. Chilutho frowns, eyebrows furrowing. What side effects? I ask curiously. Difficulty sleeping, headaches, dizziness, blurred vision, diarrhea or constipation, nausea, dry mouth, and sweating. Sensei recites sternly. I shrink. That sounds terrible, I admit. Chilutho shakes her head. Yes, read like a laundry list, I'm certain it does. However, they do not always occur. It depends on the dosage and your body's reactions. Shuzenjisen has already used a swab of Rinshin's saliva in order to determine which prescriptions will work without the least reported side effects. I hypothesize the true byproduct would be the effect it has on her quirk. I swallow. My quirk. Chilutho pauses, as if to give Sensei a moment, before nodding at me. Your quirk draws from your emotions. The medicine is designed to repress those emotions, making your thoughts clearer and your actions more rational and decisive. However, with less powerful emotions to draw from, it stands to reason your quirk would no longer be as powerful. Sensei scowls. And the suicidal ideations? The what? If either of us thought Rin was in danger of regressing from this, would we really be having this discussion? She says sharply. Sensei's hand settles against my head. I relax against it immediately, feeling the uncomfortable air clear. I will consider it. Chilutho smiles. That is all I ask. I leave Chilutho's office alone. Sensei, refusing to stick around through the entire appointment, takes the pictures with him and leaves. I don't ask why, just shrugging and turning back and drawing new ones. Chilutho takes the time to explain all the weird acronyms she used to me then. PTSD, anxiety, depression. I'd thought depression was just when you were super sad. Apparently, it was more like when you don't want to get out of bed, reminding me when I first found out about Kaido. Hoki-chan, Midoriya shouts, breaking me out of my daze. I blink and look around before spotting him in the direction of the trash. Hey, I reply. I wait, quiet, as he jogs over, taking in his scratched-up face and dusty clothes. For someone grounded, he sure looks lively. What are you doing out so late? I slip my hands in my pockets and shrug. I had an appointment with Chaluthason. Midoriya's eyes widen. You have her too? He immediately reddens and flaps his hands. Sorry, that came out rude. I mean, it's just, All Might made it sound like I was the only one. I guess that makes sense though. We've all been through a lot. I remember his scream in the forest and shiver before nodding soberly. Yeah. There's an awkward pause between us before I shrug and start towards the dorms. He falls in step automatically. Do you like her? I blink at the random question before he smiles boyishly and rubs his head. Chaluthosan, I huff, nodding slightly. You forgot your transition. His cheeks flush a bright pink. Yeah, guess I did. He pauses, almost nervous before grinning. What would Shinsokan think? Probably nothing, I snort, amused. Sensei does it all the time. I would think you need practice. He barks out a laugh. Yeah, probably, he says, and I can't help but notice the freckles splattered unevenly all across his nose crease when he grins. I'm not usually that good with people, so I'll have to keep trying. I wasn't very popular at my old school. My smile dims. Because you were quirkless. He twitches uncomfortably, and I immediately regret the sudden conversation turn. Don't bring attention to it. He says, crossing his arms. I don't know how to fix this. Breathing deeply, I decide to plunge ahead anyway. Sensei says sharing things helps. My brothers were too, I tell him, interrupting his strange mumbles. Quirkless, my whole family was. Midoriya falls quiet, and I don't need to glance his way to feel the weight of his gaze. They were? I nearly sigh in relief. Yeah, I admit, hands in my pockets. They were constantly getting in fights because of it. When the suits took us, I think Ryu was about to be kicked out of school. He's my oldest brother. Kaido wasn't so bad, but he'd get dragged into them a lot because of Sora and Ryu. People like to pick on them. Oh, Midoriya says, and I can hear the surprise in his voice. I sometimes fought with Kacchan, but that was it. I really just wanted to be a hero. I wrinkle my nose. That probably shouldn't surprise me. Remember his room? Really? I ask, looking his way. He grins ruefully back, one hand rubbing at his bandaged neck. Yeah, he says, awkward. Stupid, huh? As if someone quirkless could be a hero. I blink, brows furrowing. Wait, what? That's stupid, I scowl. Why couldn't they be a hero? The green-haired boy blinks, eyes widening as he takes in my expression. You think they could? I give him a weird look. Obviously, I tell him, not even sure why he'd ask such a stupid thing. My brother isn't have any problem being a villain. Midoriya stares. I don't pay attention, focusing instead on the dorms already coming into view. I slump. Sensei's gonna be annoyed I talked about that, I mumble. He told me not to. Midoriya, still sort of dazed, laughs nervously. Yeah, he told me the same. Maybe we could, just not mention it. I throw him a curious glance. Like a secret? I ask, oddly interested. Yeah, he says, freckles wrinkling again. His eyes sparkle and I blink in surprise at just how expressive he is. Just between us. I blush. Okay, I manage, slowing to a stop when he thrust out a pinky. I can't even remember the last time someone did that. Maybe in one of the earlier homes. Before the last one. Something warm and bright envelops my stomach, and fireflies FLC curse suddenly to life all across my arms and face. Midoriya beams at them, and I quickly curl my finger around his. The fireflies buzz around our fingers, much to his delight. Oi, you city Deku, what the hell are you doing? He jumps nearly a foot in the air and away. I giggle. You better get your ass back in here and help, Bakugo screams from the door, cartoonishly mad. Midoriya offers a sheepish smile. I gotta go, he says, still eyeing the fireflies. I'll, see you later, Hoki-chan. Rin, I correct. He doesn't hear, rushing ahead. That evening after dinner, Sensei gestures me to the couch. Noticing the blanket and kitten already laid out, I scowl. Really? Didn't we just talk, Sensei? I just saw Chaluthosan a few hours ago. Is this really necessary? He smiles, all teeth and eyes crinkling. I wrinkle my nose when he steps around me and just sort of crashes on his end. Yes. He leans back against the arm, and I glower at the amusement there. Lips pursed to the side and eyes drooped. He slides an arm against the back of the couch and gestures me over with a look. Sit. I cross my arms, unmoved. But why? He actually has the audacity to laugh. Rude. I thought you were making a list, he says, lifting a brow. Or did you think I forgot? We can start wherever. Your attitude towards Miss Joke, your issue with Kuda, the rock boy from Shiksu, your mother. Teisho, I interrupt, annoyed. I didn't say anything about him. Did Hitoshi-kun say something? He better not. Rin, Sensei chides. I don't need Hitoshi to explain when someone makes you uncomfortable. I have eyes. Now sit down. Do you want to start there? I move reluctantly. No. I'd rather not start anywhere. I don't say that though, well aware he'd make me write some stupid essay. Huffing, I grab the blanket and drop onto my end. Pulling the blanket around my shoulders, I wrap it securely over my head and glare out the makeshift hood. He smirks and I grunt, immediately looking away. I try to think of a reply, but nothing immediate really comes to mind. Stupid words. There's nowhere to start, I scowl, fingers brushing across the sofa cushion by my knee. I stare down at the gray couch and try to ignore his gaze. He was mean. I got upset. I didn't hurt him. See, not everything needs a conversation. What did he say that was mean? I shrink and glance up to find his dark eyes still watching. Looking away, I glower. Is this really? Yes, he interrupts, voice stern. There's a difference between schoolyard taunts and being purposefully cruel. I'm asking which was used. The fact that he's a hero student makes it even more cause for concern. One day, that boy will be expected to respond to emergency situations and deal with trying individuals. If there's an issue, it needs to be addressed now. Hero. I cringe. Rin, Sensei says quieter. I glance up, surprised to find him rubbing his nose. I would also like to know because it bothered you. Oh. I drop the blanket and pull at my fingers nervously. He nods towards the space beside him, and, swallowing, I scoot over. The moment I'm in the crook of his side, his arm falls like it did on the bus heavily against my shoulder. The weight is strangely nice. I lean into it, curling into the warmth and relaxing. This is nice. What did he say? Sensei prods again. That he hoped I got expelled and that I shouldn't be a hero. It was cause of what happened at the beach and that I was trash. Sensei breathes deeply. I will address it. Do you believe you're trash? No, I mumble, closing my eyes. Leaning closer, I nuzzle his side, the softness of his shirt soothing against my cheek, the smell reassuring. Sometimes I wish we could stay like this forever. I shouldn't have left him, Yamade-sensei, I mean. No, you shouldn't have, Sensei agrees, sounding almost contemplative. Did he say anything else or attempt to physically harm you? No, I answer, shaking my head. He walked off. Can we talk about something else? Your mother? I grimace. No. He doesn't say something for a long moment, fingers running through my hair, and I lean comfortingly into the touch. All right, he says finally. I spoke with Recovery Girl after our discussion. What are your feelings about the medication? I blink and pull away. What? Do you want to try it? He says, expression carefully blank. I frown, searching his face, and the facade cracks easily. He huffs, seemingly amused, and offers a wry smile. Don't look so surprised. I'm not going to make you take it if you don't want to. It'd be irrational and a waste of time and energy. It'd probably end in an argument anyway. I pout. It would not. At his knowing look, I flush. Okay, maybe, I admit, curling back against him. But I don't know. I don't want to lose my quirk. What if Kaido comes? The thought of facing him of taking him on defenseless. A hand in my hair. The glint of silver in the dark. I shiver. Sensei frowns, eyes narrowed, stares as if he were trying to pick away at my thoughts. After a moment, he sighs. Then you don't have to. There are other ways to control your emotions besides medicine. Deep breathing, using positive thoughts, expressing yourself, basic self-care. The goal, regardless of your choice, is that you'd be happy without feeling constantly overwhelmed. However, if the coping strategies stop working, or you need something more in order to be successful, the option is available. I frown. And that's it. Sensei lets out an amused huff, fingers scratching my scalp. That's it. We'll continue as we have been. I'm not punishing you for not choosing one or the other. That'd defeat the purpose of letting you choose. It's your decision, Rin. I pull at my fingers. Oh. You don't have to decide right now, he says, snorting. But I'm going to need something a little more substantial in the future. Yes or no? If I give you until Friday, should I expect a meltdown by the end of the week? I flush and glare. No. He laughs, and I know he's remembering his last deadline. Red-faced, I wrinkle my nose at him. Sensei. The next day passes as quickly as the first. It's, surprisingly, another good day. The teachers all give us a ton of homework, but nothing unmanageable. The math is still understandable, literature is simply to read, which I finish in class, and our art essay covers foreign symbolism in pop culture, which is super easy. It's a little weird that Midoriya and Bakugo still aren't back yet, but the others make enough noise that it's strongly all that noticeable. Especially Hitoshi's friends. They sit with us again at lunch, and this time I'm more prepared for it. I'm less surprised when Makochan explodes across the table in a shower of giggles and nearly overturns my milk, or when Daisuke drags Hitoshi into retelling some wild story of how they got into an argument with a business student that led to some crazy dares. And Kirishima, apparently summoned by all this chaos, joins us as well. Dude, you guys are crazy. So then Kirishima-kun and Hiroshi-kun had an arm wrestling contest, I exclaim, rolling on my back on the floor and raising my arms. Yamada-sensei, currently lounging and stretched out on the couch, smiles fondly back, phone in hand. Oh. I'm pretty sure he's sneaking photos. Kirishima-kun won, but Hiroshi-kun came in second. I only got third, which Kirishima-kun said was decent, but I think that was just him being nice. I mean, it's basically last place cause it meant I only beat Daisuke-kun and Makochan, and that not really saying much cause neither of them actually train. Makochan was the worst though. Her arms are like jello, and did you know she couldn't even do push-ups? That's crazy. Aizawa-sensei, somewhere in the kitchen cleaning up, snorts. Hate to break it to Gel Love, but that's really not that surprising. You're a little more cut than most, Yamada-sensei laughs. There ain't too many girls your age bent on being strong. Most of them just want to look good or have good grades. More cut, I repeat, wrinkling my nose. Did you just make that up? Yamada-sensei tilts his head and squints over the sunglasses still perched on his nose. No, it's a real phrase. Don't doubt my lingo. I giggle at his annoyance, spreading my arms sideways and stretching. Sounds made up, I tease again, grinning cheekily back. He looks caught between rolling off the couch and glaring. You know you have English with me tomorrow. I'm feeling a pop quiz in my sweet little intern's future. I laugh, sitting up and crawling over towards him. He crosses his arms and stares sourly back. Oh no you don't. Don't come over here, troublemaker. I don't want your apologies. I ignore him and flop on his stomach. But sensei, I whine in English. Teacher, he corrects with a dirty look. And they don't call their teachers teacher in English. They use honorifics. I wrinkle my nose and wiggle to lean across his stomach, elbows digging in beneath me. English is so weird. Mr. Yamada, I try, and then stick my tongue out not liking that at all. Yuwa, yuck. Mr. Hizashi. You could try uncle, he offers trying to look disinterested. I blink at that, legs hanging off the couch. He doesn't meet my eye, cheeks red and mustache twitchy. Uncle Hizashi, I try, rolling the foreign word around my tongue. It's a mouthful. That's too long. What about Uncle Zashi? He pinks, expression curling into a silly grin. Leaning forward, he clobbers me to his CHSD, dropping his phone somewhere on the side of the couch. One arm wraps against my back and the other my head. Hey. No take-backs, he declares loudly, expression bright and delighted. I squawk, unable to wiggle out. I kick wildly until my feet slide up and tangle in his. Fine. To have such thin arms, he really has a lot of strength. I don't mention that though, too aware he wouldn't appreciate it. And when he lets me go, I consider squirming away to tease him again. But dinner was delicious, and he really is comfortable, and even if his leather isn't anywhere near as soft as Aizawa-sensei's sweaters, this is nice. I glance towards the sink and blink, noticing my guardian's dark gaze and smirk. Sen. Yamada-sensei huffs, wiggling his eyebrows and pointing a finger gun at my nose. No takebacks. I flush, surprised that he was actually serious, and let out a nervous laugh. Oh, fine, Uncle Zashi, I attempt again, pressing my chin against the middle of his sternum. He raises an eyebrow. What? I smile mischievously back. Thanks for dinner. He snorts and rolls his eyes, his long blonde hair sticking out over the arm of the couch and his finger gun disappearing as it slides through my hair. Yeah, it's not a problem, kid. Good job passing the exam. All things considered, you did pretty well overall. Competing against a bunch of second years from around the country and coming up, what was it, 14th, 15th? Impressive. You keep this up and I'll be stuck interviewing you for the radio. I flush brightly and he laughs, ruffling my hair. Hey. He pulls back and stops, both arms moving away to slide under his head so I can move as I please. I don't leave though, instead sliding sideways and squirming up so I can squish between him and the back of the couch to lean into his shoulder. He lets me, eyes slipping closed as he does. He'll probably have to leave soon. Something about making his rounds and a long patrol. It reminds me of the internship, the quiet warmth of his apartment, and the comforting scent of expensive cologne. Uncle Zashi, I whisper, not wanting to break the peace but curious. He peeks one eye open and looks down, the green swirl strangely colored behind the lightly tinted glasses. When we do the hero work studies, can I do mine with you? The eye shuts back, and it's not exactly the reaction I was waiting for. The blonde sighs. Aizawa-sensei, clearly now done with dishes, doesn't join us. He disappears into his room and Yamada-sensei makes a face, though I don't know if it's towards me or his best friend. I wait, only too aware the answer isn't an immediate yes. Dark doubts swirl quietly beneath my skin. He doesn't want you. Do they ever? Tell me why you want to work for me, the blonde says slowly, reaching out to collect his sunglasses and push them up atop his forehead. It makes him easier to read but doesn't stop my own confusion. Why? My mouth goes dry at the need to explain. Sometimes, I really hate that word. I trail off, twitching uncomfortably beneath his bright green gaze. I don't know. Because he's easy. Because working with him is nice. Because I trust him and know him and he's kind. I don't have the words, I manage, lips curling down in distaste. He nods, smiling reassuringly. Part of me wants to growl and point, shouting that right there, that's why. But I don't. What if I tell you what I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, he asks. I nod, shoulders loosening. Okay, he draws out, staring up at the ceiling. I think you want to work with me because I was the one you did your internship with. I nod again, slower, uncomfortably aware that probably isn't the correct answer. He notices and raises an eyebrow, expression shifting minutely between tired and bemused. Figured. And what would I teach you, he asks. Teach me. I have no idea where he's going with this. I don't know. How to fight. Why? I furrow my brows and sit up, one hand pressed against his abs and the other on the couch. What? Why do you need me to teach you how to fight? He asks again, not unkindly. Kid, you just passed the fighting exam with flying colors. You spar regularly with your classmates and you regularly beat them. It isn't like when we first started. You can defend yourself now. You don't really need me anymore for that. Something dark and dangerous twists in my gut. I'll always need you, I whisper suddenly, throat tightening in terror. He makes a noise, hands waving immediately in defense. Oh hey, okay, so maybe that was a bad choice of words, he backtracks. I'm sure you'll always need me. I'm your Yamada-sensei. We're family. I get it. I wasn't saying I won't be here for you. Just that you're growing up. You don't need to learn how to punch or basic self-defense anymore. Kid, you're a near natural at fighting. As long as you've got the motivation to push through and keep going, you've got this. You don't need what I'd teach you, except maybe some social skills, but that's not enough for the work study. These are for you to develop into the kind of hero you want to be. And last time I checked, I'm pretty sure it wasn't the DJ teacher kind. I frown, eyebrows knitting together, but don't disagree. Yamada-sensei, as if sensing my darkening thought, sighs. Reaching over, he slides an arm around my shoulder and pulls me back down against him. Hey, he tries again, smiling conspiratorially. Shada mentioned you wanted to learn some medical skills, right? The work study is totally the time for that. Not just holding on to what's comfortable, ya dig? I scowl and fold my arms, wrinkling my nose. I got it, I grumble, face heating and looking anywhere but his face. I probably should have known better anyway. I'm kinda not sure you do, the blonde grouses with a huff, but he doesn't press it. I ignore him and bury my face back in the crook of his shoulder and huff, trying not to lean into his touch when he rubs a hand against my arm. If it makes you feel any better, your class might not be participating in them anyways, my godfather says a few seconds later. I peek up and frown, brows furrowed. Why not? He gives a sly look. Oh, are we talking again now? I try to imitate Aizawa-sensei's deadpan stare. He snorts. You know, that's kinda creepy. I grin. Then, remembering the way I used my shadows in the mirror, I sit up and pat insistently at his CHST. "Wanna see my other one?" I ask excitedly. "Your other what?" Closing my eyes in concentration, I have to focus to find the shadows, especially with the glow in such easy reach. It feels like a cool bomb when I do, simple and pliable. I only summon a small amount, feeling it seep from the pores on my neck. Rinchin, what are you doing? I open my eyes and grin, even as the shadows drag my hair in the air. Yamade-sensei gapes beneath me, mouth going wide. Oh sit, that creepy as hell. I drop the shadows instantly and pout. He laughs. Underscore 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 underscore. The next morning, Sensei introduces the big three. I'm not really sure why, especially if Yamade-sensei is to be believed. Why dangle something everyone wants but won't be able to have? The fact that I wouldn't be able to do it with Yamade-sensei still stinging. The most powerful students at UA. I don't know what I was expecting. Whatever it was, it definitely wasn't this. They're idiots. I fold my arms, thankful to be in the back, and reconsider my trust in UA. The girl, probably the most annoying them all, had been bouncing around non-stop since she'd arrived, touching people and asking ridiculous questions she didn't bother to wait for the answers for. Luckily, she'd been contained to the front of the room, but her current fascination with Ajiro's tail was annoying. He'd already pulled it back twice, and if he did it again, I was going to tell her to stop. Get to your point, Sensei says sharply, eyes activating threateningly. This is irrational. I scowl when the blonde waves nervously, reminding me uncomfortably of another similar man. Only the dark-haired boy seemed normal, and he was currently shivering against the wall. Is this a joke? Ah. He makes a noise, posing like an idiot, and then grins. Something in that smile sets my teeth on edge. Why don't you all fight me at once? My eye twitches. Is he serious? All of us at once against one of the top students in the entire school. That was insane. There was no way one person could defend against that many quirks, especially with all our experience. Definitely an idiot. What'd ya say? The blonde asks, rubbing his nose and smiling like he wasn't asking our rowdy class to beat his ass. Is that all right? I mean, it's the most rational to have them experience our experience firsthand, right, Eraserhead? Something about the way he talks, the way he uses my guardian's rationality against him, makes my teeth grind. I can tell from Aizawa-sensei's measured gaze that this wasn't planned, and the fact that he hadn't mentioned a fight last night either. Do what you want. I don't know what's more surprising, that this idiot was actually taking us all on, or that Aizawa-sensei was letting him. Sensei never does anything without a purpose. If he's letting him fight, then, did that mean he thought he could win? Or was this a ploy to teach our upperclassmen to be less CCKY? But why would he care what the upperclassmen think? I try to catch his eye, uncertain, but Sensei avoids it. So instead, I rise and follow the other, spilling out into the hall and changing rooms among my classmates' excitable chatter. Momo, in front of me, gushes about the unique opportunity, and Kyoka, waiting for her, snorts. There's no way he'll be able to take on all of us at once. I wonder what his quirk is, Ribbit. I don't respond. Shrugging off my uniform, I ignore the puckered hills of scars on my arms and pull on my pants. Rinchin, Toru whines, an invisible arm snaking out and snagging my shoulder. You're so quiet. What's wrong? I thought you liked sparring. I do, I huff, making a face before removing her to pull on my gym shirt. Sensei had gotten it adjusted with a slit so my wings wouldn't accidentally choke me. Yeah. Then why do you look so serious, she complains, clothes wiggling emptily as she buttons the front. You're supposed to be excited. We get to compare ourselves to an upperclassman. This is so exciting. You should be excited. You can show Aizawa-sensei how much you improved. I pause. Glancing over, I imagine if I could see her face she'd be smirking. She dances, the P uniform still slightly open on her CHST, and I blink and realize sharply what looks so strange. What? Are you not wearing underclothes? I ask her sourly, twitching. This was getting a bit ridiculous. She laughs, voice loud and free. No, duh, I just have to take them off when we start and that's weird. I don't want the boys looking at my panties. It's just easier to leave them off altogether. I snort. Of course, it is. Rinchin? Torichin? Ready? Momo asks. I stuff my uniform in my locker with a loud clang and nod. As much as I'll ever be. The blonde is stretching when we finally arrive. I frown the moment I see him, those same uncertainties rising back up again. The girl and dark-haired boy are with him, but they move away the moment we enter, her towards us and the boy towards the wall. I narrow my eyes when she immediately latches onto Mina, but can't stop my eyes from drifting back to the other boy. It takes me almost too long to realize why. He's shaking. I grimace and turn expectantly towards Aizawa-sensei, but he's locked in a conversation with Todoroki, brows pinched as he asks him something that I can't hear. My frown deepens and I hesitate again. Those with power have two choices, Rinchin. You either use it and be a hero, or abuse it and be a villain. I swallow, shifting, then, stealing my nerves, cross the room towards the older boy. Hey, I say, feeling my words come out harsher than I mean to at my own rising anxiety. Are you okay? There's a pause in which I'm fairly sure my classmates are gaping at my back. I can even feel his blonde friend stare, but I don't glance back, lips firm and eyes narrowed. Cause you lookin' anxious, I say, twitching uncomfortably at his lack of conversation. What are you doing? Sensei's right there. Let him handle it. And if you are, you should breathe. I mean, if you need to. The boy's dark eyes widen, sliding towards me as he stares. What? Breathe, I repeat, not sure if he's asking about the anxiety or what to do. I shift awkwardly from one foot to the other and pull at my fingers. You don't look like you're having an attack, but if you were, you should lean forward, because it'll help. Or at least, it helps me. Sometimes I have really bad anxiety and Sensei says it's okay, that lots of people get it. My Midnight Sensei actually, I don't know if I should say that. But if you want, you can, talk about it. If anything, the boy looks even more worked up. I open my mouth, fully prepared to spout more nonsense because he's clearly not saying anything, and I must be doing something wrong when a hand clasps my shoulder. I nearly jump. Hey, that's super kind of you, laughs the crazy blonde guy from earlier, and I freeze instantly under his touch, feeling my stomach twist instantly into knots. His hand is huge, large enough it takes up my whole shoulder, and my skin heats beneath his too bright blue stare. But, hey, Tamaki, you're going to be alright, yeah? The dark-haired boy, Tamaki, glances between me and the blonde and grimaces. I just want to go home. Still holding my shoulder, the blonde throws up a thumb and grins. That's what I figured, he's fine, just being a little shy, the brighter boy laughs, and I'm struck by how similar it is to him. I manage, flustered and embarrassed and wishing the ground could just maybe swallow me whole. He releases my shoulder and winks. My mouth dries instantly. Did he just... Hoki-chan, right? I've heard about you. I can't wait to see what you've got. But we should definitely get ready. I don't think Eraserhead's a big fan of wasting time. I glance, red-faced towards Aizawa-sensei, and nearly shrink when I catch his look. Eyes narrowed dangerously. I can almost read his thoughts. What are you doing? Yeah. He laughs, steps back, and immediately jogs back to the middle of the gym. The others, all locked into some sort of discussion with the girl, barely notice. Well, mostly. Hey, Rinchin, you okay? Your face is like super red, Toru whispers as she suddenly slides next to me. Yeah, I mumble, fingers twitching at each other. Oh good, 'cause if I didn't know better, I'd think you were blushing, the girl teases, and I make a face. Close combat team, you should move in first. I quickly separate myself from the invisible girl and slide closer instead to Ochako and Kirishima. The redhead takes one look and snickers, his body already strongening. I resist the urge to throw something at him. Rinchin, Ochako asks, her hand rising to hide a smile. You good? I groan and summon my shadows, annoyed when they're red too. Oh my gosh, is her quirk blushing? Laughs Mina. Class, we need to focus, Ida shouts. Long-range fighters, prepare. Anytime now, whistles the blonde, not even bothering with a stance as he waves in our direction. This was either going to be really easy or really bad. All right, Kirishima grunts, clearly pumping himself up. It's on. Here I come, shouts Midoriya, and there's a flash of green as he charges. I don't hesitate either, racing forward with reddish shadows circling my arms. And then his clothes fall off. I flinch at Kyoka's scream and stop my assault, twisting back immediately. Only she's unharmed and alone, eyes wide as she points forward. I jerk back, suddenly all too aware of the enemy I just lost track of at my back. Only, I'm not really sure what to do in the face of his suddenness. They're upset about that, but not Toru. I grit my teeth and glower, the blonde hurriedly pulling back on his pants. Midoriya, just as caught off guard as the rest of us, doesn't hesitate. I wait for the crack of bones, the speed and power behind that kick surely enough to break bones. Sensei's not going to be happy. But it doesn't happen. A flash of powers explodes forward, a laser and clawed hand, and my heart suddenly hammers at the cloud of dust. Something's wrong. And that's when they scream. There isn't time to think. I barely have time to react. One moment the blonde is in front of us, the next he's not. Kyoka screams, a commotion behind us, and suddenly something is plowing through my classmates violently. Blonde hair flashes through the chaos. Ash in the air, blood in my mouth, and great plumes of smoke blocking out the sun. My shadows break free on instinct, exploding from my skin in a surge of power. It circles my body in a revolving storm, twisting into briars and hands, faces caught in the darkness, classmates with open mouth screams. Power. I stop hesitating. Reaching out, I summon every dark, bleak thought I can. Your mother's dead. She's gone, and no one thought to tell you for years. Did they ever really care? I breathe. Black tentacles erupt from my mouth like fire, scorching the earth beneath us and melting the cement. It's only my absolute control that keeps it from touching my classmates, swirling past Zero and arching over Momo. Bright blue eyes widen, sharpening as they meet my own. He's coming for me. Naked, rippling with muscles, and fast, he disappears into the ground and... a flash of silver in the dark. I dodge up, tentacles forming a clawed hand of darkness. It drags me into the air only seconds before he reappears. A hand passing just by my leg, and wide blue eyes. I kick at nothing, mouth automatically releasing another thick torrent of darkness and flame. A hand winds in my hair. I stumble, and he pushes me at the wall. I grunt but don't scream, too afraid he'll bash my head against the bricks. I'm going to make you suffer. He drags me again, this time walking slower, at a steadier pace, down another alley, and I scramble to keep my legs under me. I want to call my shadows to my hands. I want to summon black fire and claws, nightmares and death, but they don't come. They won't come. Terror wells, the thick, cloying kind that clogs my throat and constricts in my chest. Tears mingle with rainwater and I choke on silent sobs. I won't be weak like that again. Grasping to the rafters, I snarl at the chaos below. Bodies strewn across the floor, the blonde glances back. Midoriya, his last victim, is doubled over closest. Shin cries in the corner, Yuusan slumped next to him, throat slit and a sideways 8 carved in her forehead. Teeth barred, I glare. Heh, you're pretty good, the boy laughs, already sinking back into the floor. There isn't time to consider the words. One moment he's sinking, the next he's flying out, one arm extended, teeth gleaming. I release my shadows instantly, but they're not enough. He passes through them like nothing, as if they don't even exist. And even as I let go, as I try to make space, as I retreat, he's before me. Too fast. He punches through everything darkness, fire, bone shattering my defenses effortlessly, fist digging into my gut. We're midair, and it still knocks the breath from my lung, lurches my stomach, weightless, for a moment as we're suspended. The world blackens at the edges. The room spins. I sprawl across an arm, unable to breathe. Nausea climbs my throat, choking. Flesh around my neck. I can't breathe. The acid and drool leak from my lips. My teeth CLCK together, tears spilling unbidden. Hey, you burned me. He sounds impressed. I want to snarl, want to curl want to sharpen my tentacles and attack. I don't have near enough breath for that. Helpless. It's a bitter, awful taste. The blonde doesn't stick around to gloat. Curled on the floor, I gasp for nothing as he strikes a pose. The rest of my classmates, groaning. Pale and still, CHST barely rising in the purple smoke. Power. So promise me Hellspawn, promise me you'll get strong. Forehead against the floor, I remember his face. Power. After the horror that was our utter defeat, Sensei sends us all to class. I spend most of it unable to concentrate. Despite taking notes, doing all my work, and being physically present, I feel at least 1,000,000 miles away. My mind constantly replays the battle, rehashing the scenario, rethinking his attacks, my own weaknesses, my classmates' groans. Mirio. I don't forget the name again, working it through my brain on repeat like a broken record. Mirio. It's like a faulty record, like an incomplete thought I can't quite drag to the end. I can't get him out of my brain. It's like I'm back there all over again, frozen, staring into bright blue eyes and shining gold hair. Is this why people worshipped All Might? Was this why I couldn't get him out of my head? That laugh, that grin, that confident shout of power as he didn't even try. The raw power and ease behind his evisceration of our class. I couldn't help it. I wanted it. I wanted to be him, to have the kind of power to stare Kaido in the eye and stop him. Would they have loved me if I saved them? Mirio had told us afterward he wasn't blessed with a naturally powerful quirk. He and Tamaki and the girl whose name I didn't bother to remember. How he trained his quirk to perfection through constant effort and strong work. And it made me want to train. It makes me want to run until my lungs burned, makes me want to push my body until it ached, made me want to practice kicks and punches until I could punch through burning, shadowy quirks. Sighing miserably, I flop on Hitoshi's bed, those blue eyes still caught in my mind. On the floor by his bike, the purple-haired boy casts me an amused glance. "So he beat you," he says dryly, hands working steadily as he removes the back tire of his bike. "I don't really see the big deal. He's 2 years ahead of you and one of the top students in the school. Isn't he supposed to beat you? I think the surprise is that your class even thought you had a chance. Can we say conceited much?" I make a face and roll over, snatching his pillow and hugging it to my chest. It smells like Hitoshi, and I breathe deeply. Rude. It isn't that he just beat everyone, I scowl. He annihilated us. I couldn't do anything. I lasted longest, and I was on the ceiling. He just punched through my quirk. Like, bam, and it was gone. And it wasn't even my normal one. It was all hot because I was angry, and it didn't even faze him. And then he was fast. Like quirk fast, but without a speed one. I mean, not even Ida could keep up. Hitoshi snorts. Again, third year. I blow out my cheeks in annoyance. Whatever, I grumble, only too aware this conversation wasn't going anywhere. Do you think I could get that good one day? He pauses and sends me a strange look, kneeling with one leg on the floor and the other propped up in front of him. He balances his elbow on it, his fist against his cheek. Really? Ugh, yes, Rin. I duck my head at his half-lidded, judgmental stare. Hitoshi. I peek over the pillow when he doesn't answer, unsurprised to find him rolling his eyes and returning back to work. He threads a chain through the metal gears. He makes a noise when one clinks, pulling it through and then wiggling it steadily back and forth. Why are you doing that? I ask curiously, blinking when he catches another. The link's too tight, he says, wiggling it a few more times before pulling it taut. You usually do it once you reconnect the chain, but I like to fix it when I find him. Making a quiet O, I watch as he uses some strange, handheld tool to cinch the two ends back together and break off the excess. He reaches for the wheel, rolls it back between two bars, and sets it in place, working with a practiced efficiency as he reinstalls the tire. Why'd you have to change the chain? I ask, scooting towards the edge of his bed to kick my feet. It was getting old. They stretch as you use them, and that one was getting loose. If you let them get too loose, they'll get caught on things or mess up. I hum, fascinated as he turns the pedals. He watches the spokes, stopping to work out 2 more links before dragging himself to his feet. Want a ride? He asks, dusting himself off. I still. A ride? I repeat, witty-eyed. You said you never have, right? He smirks, raising a brow. His head tilts, purple hair wild and framing his face as he offers a shrug. You want to change that? I squeal. Rolling off the bed, I land on the floor and launch myself at the boy, arms wrapping around his neck before he can take it back. For real? Really? Gee off, he grunts, his hand reaching down to dig into my side. I let out a screeching laugh and release him at once. Hitoshi. Oi, you want to ride or not? He huffs, lightly shoving my face away and picking up the bike. He lifts it easily, one hand dragging it up from the stand and the other snatching 2 helmets off the shelf above. I blink at the sudden display of strength. Noticing my pause, he narrows his eyes. What? Nothing. You're just strong. I wasn't expecting you to pick it up. The look he gives me is pure irritation. It's aluminum, he glowers, carrying it out into the hall and tossing one of the helmets in my direction. I catch it with flushed cheeks. Shut the door behind you. Ignoring his classmates' weird stares, we walks the bike through the building and out onto the street. There, he makes me push it while he points out all of the important parts. Those are the brakes, he says flatly, gesturing to 2 of the squeezy things by the handlebars. The right brake is for the front. Squeeze it. I do, nearly tripping when the front of the bike suddenly stops. Hitoshi snickers and I throw him a dirty look. The left is the back. Try that one next. I do, this time more prepared when the bike suddenly lurches. I did it. Yeah, he huffs, smirking when I beam up at him. I glow in excitement, fingers rubbing across the rubber handles and metal brakes. This is so exciting. You may want to use those more gradually. If you pull a strong stop like that at any sort of speed, you're going to flip. Here's the helmet, you ready to try? I nod excessively, quickly grabbing the bright blue helmet and pressing it against my head. I buckle it and grin. Hitoshi snorts before stopping me to reach under my chin. You're such a kid, he grouches, fingers reaching for the buckle and pulling at the extra length until it tightens beneath my chin. Your helmet's too loose. The point is to protect you, not slide all over your head. I flush but don't move, pulling excitedly at my shirt until he lets go. Thank you. When he backs up, he rolls his eyes. Yeah, get on. The seat should be good since I adjusted it earlier. You can ride to the tree and back. Try not to fall over when you turn. I wiggle excitedly. Kicking my foot over the machine, I balance wobbly using each foot to keep me upright. You know, it generally works best when you pedal. I flush and try, nearly squeaking when it rolls. Clutching at the handlebars, I laugh as I manage to keep it straight. Hitoshi, I am doing it. There's a chuckle behind me and I can't help but grin, relaxing a little as I move a little faster. This is fun. It's like running, but twice as easy, like flying on the ground or gliding except on wheels. I feel my skin break out in daisies, my hair whipping behind me, and the wind in my face. All right, turn around. I do, biting my lip as I twist. It's not exactly strong, just pull and pedal, but the balance of it's weird. I drop down on one foot and have to right myself twice. The straight line back is easy though. This is fun, I squeak, trying the turn again and leaning out instead of in. It's easier to keep balance, but I definitely overcorrect. My right foot hits the ground and I scowl playfully as I push off. After 3 circles I stop, nearly vibrating with excitement. Your turn. He snorts and takes the bike, kicking down a stand and shaking his head. How about I take us for a ride instead? He asks a second later, fingers moving under the seat and arm flexing as he adjusts some lever. The seat immediately sinks before he pulls it up several inches higher than it was before and locks it in place. A ride, I repeat, lips curling up in delight. Where? How? There's only one seat. You can stand on the pegs, he says, gesturing to the back with a smirk before climbing on and buckling on his own helmet. I look worriedly at the small metal pieces. They'll hold me. Yeah, they've held Daisuke, and I'm pretty sure you're nearly the same weight. I wrinkle my nose at that, but sort of climb to stand slightly behind him and over the tire. As soon as I do, I realize the next issue. Where do I put my hands? My hair, he says sarcastically, before ducking when I actually reach for it. My shoulders, idiot. What are you doing? Just following orders, I tease, sliding my hands up his back and gripping at his shoulders. He spares me a sour glance before riding the bike and giving me a moment to hop up. The pegs are small, and my shoes don't grip them well, but he holds the bike steady enough it's not really an issue. I squeeze his shoulders excitedly, fireflies dashing about my glowing skin and cat ears pressing against the helmet. Ready? Yeah. He takes off all at once. Despite not sitting down, I can tell the difference between us at once. The wobbliness straightens, the turns are smooth, the speed quickens, and I can't help but laugh. You're amazing. He doesn't look back, but he doesn't have to. I can almost hear his smirk, can feel the way his shoulders loosen, and the tension falls away. This is so cool, Hitoshi-kun, how come we've never done this before? I don't know, he huffs, turning easily before following one of the Yua trails that lead around the dorms. Despite it being late afternoon, there aren't a lot of people on it. A couple of upperclassmen and a blue-haired boy trying out some tech. I grin at them all, the wind whipping through my hair and the sun pressing on our faces. By the time we return, I can't help but hug his neck, still balancing on the back. Hey. Thank you, I whisper, ignoring him as I press my lips to his cheek. Thank you. He pinks beneath me and stops. I disentangle myself first, hopping off, and then stumbling unsteadily on the ground. He removes himself more gracefully, snorting when I race back up, arms locking around his stomach, and with a sigh, he doesn't push me away. Letting out a huff, he pats my head robotically. All right, chill, or I'll make you wait a week before we do it again. We can, I cut off at his glower and immediately back away, hands locking behind my back and pasting on my most innocent expression. Sorry, chill, see? I'm chill. He snorts disbelievingly. Yeah, sure. Come on, I need to lock it up before we head in, and you probably need to go soon. Have you finished those math problems? I nod, taking his helmet, amused at his hat hair, and watching curiously as he locks the bike up. Yes, Sensei made me finish before I came over. They haven't been as strong since this summer. They weren't that strong before, Hitoshi mumbles, and I wrinkle my nose at him. Yeah, well, maybe for you. I wish I was as smart as you, I grouse, crossing my arms. He makes a face before leaning over and CLC-king something into place. Finished, he stands and reaches for his helmet. I hand it back, thoughtfully, eyes caught on the beautiful, clear blue sky. Sensei probably would want me back soon. Even with my math done, I still needed to study and fill out my emotion journal and decide on medicine and… A hand passes against my shoulder, lightly brushing my arm, and I blink up at fond, half-lidded eyes. You good? Oh, yeah, I smile, tilting my head slightly. Just thinking. Thinking, he teases, lips stretching into a smirk. That's new. Up there with solving math problems, huh? HMPH, I huff before shoving his shoulder and immediately start towards his dorms. Kidding, I'm kidding, he laughs, and with a few long strides he catches up quickly. I blow out my cheeks with a look that he ignores. Instead, he stuffs one hand in his pocket, falling easily beside me. So, I know what he's asking for. Wrinkling my nose, I consider not answering. But today was fun, and he promised another bike ride in the future. Chiluthasan suggested I could take medicine, but Sensei wasn't all that for it, and it'll reduce my quirk, and… I trail off as we arrive at the large building for 1B. I follow Hitoshi as he holds open the door, past the lobby and up the stairs to his room. Monoma, the annoying blonde from the camp, glares but doesn't follow. Vlad, who often liked to camp out in their living room, waves brightly as we return, Hiro sprawled lazily at his side, letting out a loud woof. I wait till we're back at his room before speaking again, handing over my borrowed helmet and sinking onto his rug. It's really soft, and I'm pretty sure he said his mom bought it for him. My CHST aches at that. What would it be like if my family had quirks? If I didn't? So you don't want meds? Hitoshi asks, hanging up both helmets before dropping to the ground beside me a moment later. He stretches, one arm propping him up from behind, and lounges lazily. Not really, I admit, sighing heavily and staring up at his ceiling. I smile a little at the glow-in-the-dark stars strewn across the ceiling. But then I can't stop wondering. I mean, do you think there's something wrong with me? That's the only reason people take medicine, right? Do you think she's worried I'll go crazy like Kaido? Was that why nobody ever wanted me? Is that why Mama never? No, Hitoshi says, and I can't help but blink, because he doesn't even have to think about it. I take medicine. It doesn't mean you're sick, just that your body isn't perfect. I blink, mouth opening slightly, and then close it in shock. You take medicine? He casts me a half-lidded gaze, and I flush hotly, realizing my rudeness. Sorry. It's fine, he huffs, rolling his eyes. Yeah, I take meds, nothing prescription. But that's more because they don't make things like that for people my age than because I don't need it. The docs diagnosed me with insomnia back when I was 10. Mom and Dad really didn't know what to do, thought it was them, and got really worried and stressed and stuff. They did a lot of tests. Turns out my quirk messes with my brain waves as well as others. Like I said, the doctor couldn't really prescribe anything. They don't have drugs to help that for kids. So my parents ended up going through a ton of different over-the-counter stuff. There's a box under the bed for those nights it gets really bad, but yeah. I stare and frown, eyebrows furrowing. Insomnia? I ask, turning on my side. He rolls his eyes and smirks. My brain won't shut off, so I struggle to fall asleep. It's great. I glance at the dark circles under his eyes and nod. That, actually, makes a lot of sense. You know you'll never be your brother, right? Hitoshi says after a moment before stretching back and laying across the floor. He looks like a cat like that, expression indifferent and eyes slipping closed. Probably the dumbest thing you've said to date. Kaido wasn't always like that, I admit quietly, fingers twisting in my shirt. I sigh. He makes a quiet sound. Yeah. Do you think if I took the medicine, I'd feel less sad? I whisper, eyes immediately filling with unbidden tears. My CHST tightens. Yuisan. Kaido. Mama, gone. I blink rapidly and hurriedly wipe at my face. Sorry, Are you sad? Hitoshi asks, ignoring the last bit. I sniff and roll onto my stomach, hiding my face in my arms. The tears, refusing to dry up, spill freely down my cheeks and arms. My throat closes tight. Sometimes, I croak. He makes a noise and shifts closer. A warm, heavy hand pressed against my back. You want to talk about it? No. My mama died and Kaido went crazy and I cut off. Unable to stop the choking sob crawling up my throat. I wasn't going to tell you. I'm sorry, I should go. Hey, Hitoshi grumbles, arm reaching out. Hey, stop that. It's fine. My lip trembles as I look at him. He looks sad too. I pull back and shiver. I didn't want to, stupid emotions. Hey, he says again, this time grabbing my arm. I said it's fine. I'm your friend, Rin. It's what I'm here for, okay? And that sounds like more of your city luck. Now stop acting like an idiot and I'll give you a hug. I choke on a laugh, arm moving across my face to swipe at my tears. Your sweet side sucks. He snorts, pulls, and I curl up beside him. Yeah, well your brain sucks. You couldn't have mentioned this earlier? Like I dunno, when you actually found out? Now I'm gonna have to explain why you followed me up here and left crying. Vlad Sensei is gonna think I hurt you. I giggle and sniff, swiping at my eyes. You'd never do that. He makes a face and I bury my face in his chst, smiling despite the tears. Yeah, whatever, he grumbles, but I can hear his fondness. You're my best friend too, okay? And if you're sad, then, well, you probably deserve to be. You don't have to pretend with me, alright? It's not like I haven't seen you all snotty and stuff before. I scowl. Really? It takes all my will not to bite him. He smirks, his crazy hair falling pressed chaotically back. Am I wrong? I manage a choked laugh and scrub at my face. Then, pressing my face back into his shirt, I let out a shaky breath. Thank you, I whisper. The hand that touches my arm is warm and calloused. Always. The rest of the week passes quickly. It's like an endless cycle. Wake up, breakfast with classmates, notes, lunch, and more notes. It's easy to get lost in, easy to forget about work studies and villainous brothers as I pass through my classes. Even when I get back, it's the same. Study, play a game, talk. I sit with my classmates less reluctantly, finding Ida's notes straightforward and Momo's understanding of, well, everything better than my own. It's kinda weird, having people to study with, people to rely on. Nice. It's easy to avoid my thoughts with them. They're just so noisy, energetic. It's like being back in the foster homes, but so much better. Even Bakugo, who's prone to shouting, never acts cruelly. Nobody hurts anyone, sabotages anyone. They don't even pull mean pranks. Their laughter is near infectious, their teasing comical. They're also exhausting. The evenings are my favorite. The quiet peace in the apartment calming in a way the day never is. I curl next to Sensei on the couch, both of us occupied as he reads through some document or other with Miska purring between us. I close my eyes sometimes, pretending that this is my life, that this was how it's always been. No Yuusan, no Nico, no psychotic brothers, or dead mom, or any of that. Just us. Just me, Sensei, and Miska. Family. You had the meeting today, right? I ask quietly, fingers running through Miska's soft fur as I message Hitoshi and the other. Monoma had apparently gotten roped with Kendosan, their red-headed class president, into a push-up competition. Hitoshi was documenting as they sweated it out, Vlad's grinning figure officiating between them. Did you guys decide if we'll be able to participate in the work studies? Sensei doesn't look up from whatever paper he's reading. Instead, he hums noncommittally. I hesitate, waiting for more, and frown when it doesn't come. And? I ask, reaching over to poke his side. He passes me an amused look. What's the verdict? That you'll be waiting for tomorrow, just like the rest of the class, he says flatly. I roll my eyes and huff. I'm not asking for the specifics, I just want to know if we get to participate. The thought of Mirio returns to mind once more. Blonde hair fluttering in the wind, blue eyes sparkling. Power. He'd been haunting my thoughts a lot. Memories of his strength and power, the feeling of his hand on my shoulder, his ridiculous wink. I blush. I want to be that strong. So powerful nothing could touch me. Why? Sensei asks, eyebrow rising as he finally puts down his paper. Why are you so red? Ignoring his question, I'm absolutely certain he wouldn't approve of any thoughts of the naked blonde demolishing our class. I instead consider the question that had been haunting me for the majority of the week. Heroes are in charge of case files. That's why they have files, Rin. The police and heroes work together in teams to compile a list of relevant material, working together to use logic and rationality to solve it. Do you think I could work with a hero over Kaido's case? Sensei, still staring in my direction, frowns. His brows furrow in that judgy way that makes me want to squirm. That probably wasn't the right thing to say. Stupid words. No, he says. And then, strangely enough, he folds the papers in his hands and sticks it beside him on the arm of the couch. Among the many reasons I would tell you no, the most pressing is that the owl doesn't work with females. I blink. The owl? Wait, what? Why not? Sensei shrugs. No idea, he says, pushing back his hair and slouching lazily. He drags his hand across his face, eyes cutting to my face. He's a vicious, arrogant bastard, and he's political enough to be dangerous. He's not someone to trifle with. The less you're involved with him, the better. There's a reason he's in charge of the quirkless cases. I don't know what to think about that. What do you mean? Quirkless cases are political nightmares, Sensei admits. He crosses his arms and frowns, eyes glazing as he looks past me at the wall, as if he's remembering something. They easily become high-profile since they often involve the perpetrator responding in violence to years of ment or abuse. It's the kind of thing the media loves. It leads to public outcry, allows for new, sweeping legislation, and it's exactly what the Commission will want to avoid. The past decade has been a slow deterioration of the Commission's power. If a case like your brother's comes to light, there will doubtlessly be a call for change. I swallow. And the owl is going to stop that. Sensei sighs, meeting my eye. If he has his way, your brother will be arrested and tried quietly. Yes. From what I understand, he's working on the case personally. I sink into the couch silently. Arrested and tried. Despite knowing all the horrid things he's done, I can't help but hate that. Will he spend the rest of his life in jail? Would he die there? Because I couldn't make enough money. Because Mama relied on me. I don't want to ask any more. Instead, I pull Miska's lanky body up so her CHST rests against my chin. The softness of her fur brushes my lips and nose, strangely comforting. I try to breathe away the tightness in my CHST as she meows and stares down. Lazily, Miska leans forward and LCKs my nose. For some reason, the little gesture helps. I close my eyes and nuzzle her. And jump when Sensei's hand falls heavily against my head. Peeking up, I frown at the rough touch of his thumb brushing against my forehead. Sir, I've spoken with Chilutho regarding the work studies. We're both in agreement you should not participate. I let the kitten slide into my lap, mouth going wide as outrage and anger and hurt rip through my CHST. What? He waits. I can't even process it. Jerking from his hand, I stand. Miska jumps away with a yowl and I glare. Hot, burning anger flashing suddenly under my skin. My fists curl at my side, smoke smoldering from my pores. How dare? Why? I manage, eyes swelling with tears. My lip trembles. I snarl. He promised after the provisional exams. It's my only chance to be a hero. To see the files. Rin. You know what, never mind, I snarl, unwilling to stand there and listen to his stupid excuses. So all of that, about the owl and my brother and the commission. Why do you even FC King bother you, you ugh? He frowns, expression darkening. He doesn't back down. Rin. FCKU, I growl, all of the emotions I'd spent all week so carefully controlling, suddenly pouring out in a torrent. FCKU and your pity. Excuse me. I bare my teeth, snarling at his expression of disappointment and frustration in contempt. I hate it. I hate him. You're not my dad. Just leave me alone. Spinning on my heel, I snarl and stomp towards my room. I ignore his frustrated expression. Instead, I slam the door. And when I crash onto the bed, I let out an angry sob. Sensei does eventually corner me for an explanation. Buried beneath 2 soft sheets, with moonlight gleaming against the window, I only half listen to his excuses. Your psychotic brother is still on the loose. You're only just learning to successfully use coping strategies. It's not forever. You have at least a month to prove you can handle the stress. It's not what I want to hear. If anything, it's enraging. I'm mature enough to take the licensing exam and be one of the first to pass, but I can't handle the stress of a work study. I want to scream. I want to burn. I refuse to give him that satisfaction. Sensei and I don't mention the work studies again. The next day in class, I go so far as to put my head down when he explains them to the class, refusing to make eye contact or even listen. After all, what's the point? Todoroki gives me a strange look, and I can tell it makes Momo uncomfortable. I don't care. I can't. Too afraid I'll prove him right and break. So I'm completely unprepared when Saturday morning, Sensei disappears with a simple note, and so do about half my classmates, Midoriya, Bakugo, Todoroki, Ochako, Kirishima, Tsuyu, and Takoyami. Bakugo and Todoroki I expect, they had remedial lessons, but the others? My skin blisters. My mouth tastes like ash. I sit at the breakfast bar and glare at the wall, only too aware that if I step foot back in my room, I'll burn the whole FC King building to the ground. Rinchin? Zero asks nervously, hands raised defensively as he makes his breakfast. You good? I want to scream. I want to pull my hair. It's not fair. Bits of black flames leak into my vision, tangling in my hair. No. He opens his mouth to say something, but a shout disrupts him. Rinchin. Narrowing my eyes, I glare at Kaminari, wondering if any of my idiot classmates can read the emotions in a room. Probably not. I inhale deeply, teeth grinding. What? The blonde stops short a few meters away, dressed in casual jeans and a dark shirt, and blinks at my smoking skin. You look ready to explode, he laughs, one hand reaching behind his head to rub at his neck, while both eyes squint. Are you having a build-up? Do you need to let loose? A build-up? Let loose, I repeat slowly, eyes narrowed. I have no idea what he's talking about. Yeah, when your stores get too full. Your quirk is an emitter type like ours, right? My confusion must show on my face because Kaminari grins, wiggles his fingers, and sparks. I scowl. I don't know. Zero, still following the discussion, leans closer with a toothy grin. You don't know about the emitter type or if you're too full. I glower at the both of them, the rage dimming. I cross my arms. Either. I thought it was a shadow quirk before I met Sensei. Oh, Zero blinks, sitting back. Wait, your parents didn't tell you? Or I don't know. Have anything like it? Kaminari asks, sliding into the seat to my right. What about the quirk counselors? My parents are quirkless. My lips thin at their twin expressions of surprise. Jaws open, speechless. There's 2 types of people in this world. Wait, for real? Kaminari shouts. I glare. He pinks. A lot of emitter types can get build-up issues, Zero offers, shooting Kaminari a look that even I can interpret. Shut up. My elbows. For example, if I don't use a certain amount of tape each day, they can get really swollen and sore. Oh yeah, the blonde cuts in, nodding excitedly. And when we get thunderstorms, I get horrible build-up. I have to let loose or else I'll shock everyone I touch. When I was little, Mom used to buy me all of these horrid half-dead batteries and make me charge them. But they couldn't hold the charge because they were so freaking old, so I would just sit there and bake 'em. Yeah. I furrow my brows as he giggles. So weird. Mama would FLCK my cheek or pinch my arm if I lost control. Zero, draining the last of his cereal, sets the bowl down with a frown. That, sounds kinda mean. Didn't you ever just let it out and play? Zero asks again. Like experiment. Play with it? My shadows? They were both idiots. My thoughts must be showing because both boys lean forward. Rinchin, are you serious? Never. My quirk is dangerous, I snap. So is mine, Kaminari huffs, rolling his eyes. But you know what? Come on, Rinchin, we'll show you what to do. I stare as the blonde stands, reaches for my hand, and pulls. Geez, you're burning up. I probably shouldn't. But I don't stop him. Zero follows behind, disappearing into the kitchen as Kaminari releases my wrist to shove me out the door. It's a beautiful day. Warm sunshine on my face, the soft chirp of bird, and the sweet smell of grass wafting through the air. I can't stand it. I glower as Kaminari drags me almost 50 meters from the school, nodding excitedly when he turns and takes note of his surroundings. This should do. Mina, apparently drawn by the chaos, sticks her head out the window upstairs. Kaminari-kun, Rinchin, what are y'all doing? Teaching Rinchin to let loose, the blonde shouts back, and I flush hotly. Really? I hiss, snatching back my hand and glaring. Dude, Zero huffs, joining us and slapping the blonde upside his head. Kaminari whines, but Zero ignores it, pulling out his phone and quickly texting. Geez, don't be an idiot. I watch in surprise as Mina's window closes. Zero shoves the phone back in his pocket before looking over with a grin. He's actually kinda handsome. With long, straight black hair and thin, lanky muscles. I don't know that I've ever really looked at him, but his general cheerfulness is strange, calming. It reminds me of Yamade-sensei. I cross my arms. What? What do ya mean? What? The boy laughs, hands resting easily on his hips. What are you waiting for? Why gonna let loose or what? Won't we get in trouble? I ask, looking between them to the trees and dorm. For this? Zero laughs. Nah, there's a hole in the woods where Mina poured out a ton of acid last week. I'm usually good with practice, but I went through 3 trash bags this summer. Yeah, and Sensei told me to just use the woods during that thunderstorm the first day after we moved in, Kaminari agrees, just a tad too cheerfully. I give him a strange look. Come on, Rinshin, you'll feel so much better afterwards. Distantly, I remember the mornings with Sensei, the way he'd make me pour out my powers and answer his questions, the way it made them ache just a little less afterwards, the way they cooperated more fully. Thick torrents of briars encircling my body, hands reaching. What if they hurt you? I hesitate. TCH, we'll move, Kaminari answers easily. This feels like a horrible idea. Trust us, Shiro says, nodding. I will help you, Sensei says, hands still outstretched and open. I will do everything in my power to help you, but you have to want this. You have to work for it. Healing isn't a magic pill or a quirk. It's a choice, and one only you can make. Stop fighting me and let me help you. I promise you, if you will trust me, I will not abandon you. Isn't this why you're not in the work studies now? Lack of coping skills. Oh, okay. Looking out at the beautiful landscape, I bite my lip, and then, reluctantly, begin releasing the shadows. They come as easily as they always do. Black smoke curls up from my pores, rising and dancing through the air like dark steam. Liquid shadows drip around it, like oil down my arms, spilling from my lips and trickling across my clothes. The liquid bubbles as it goes, rising and thickening, expanding into vines and tentacles, protruding into claws and gnashing jaws. The darkness leaks like pus from my scars, twisting over my skins like worms and falling to the ground. I swallow the taste of death and freshly overturned earth. They grow, circling my feet in a thorned halo, rising around me in thick plumes of smoke. Whoa. I turn to my classmates, taking in their pale, wide-eyed expressions. In the bag. You have 1 minute, or she'll kill you. The shadows around me thicken. Snakes snap and hiss. Spider legs appear and melt away. The darkness pours out faster, stronger, like a torrent that once unleashed, can't be contained. It takes all of my willpower to control it, to contain the monstrosity. They vibrate, faces in the darkness screaming, arms reaching and clawing for purchase. I have to clamp my eyes shut to hold it back. Rinshin, you're supposed to be loose, shouts Kaminari. Loose? I bar my teeth as much in disgust as frustration. It'll kill you. We're fine, Shiro shouts back, and it takes a moment to realize him and Kaminari both have retreated back several meters, and that their faces aren't pale. If anything, they look excited and... What's wrong with them? Yeah, Rinshin, come on, stop holding back. My control wavers. The mouths snap, thousands of hands finding purchase, clawing at the ground, heaving with faceless bodies and wide, yawning mouths. The shadows churn around me, circling in a gale, in briars and waves and... Hey, come on kid, you know I'm a pro. You think I haven't fought a shadow quirk or 5? Ugh. So Shada mentioned he thinks it's an emotional manifestation. What emotion would you call this? My mouth dries. He tilts his head and wiggles his finger. Happy? Sad? Angry? Fear, I whisper. And I let go. The darkness around me doesn't expand so much as it explodes. The churning mass of briars and waves shatters into snakes, bubbling into masses of tentacles and lumps of bodies, lengthening into a wall of faces. The sunlight disappears as Yuasan's dead face stares back, wide-eyed and glossy, Shin's tearful expression, Asp's broken mask, and Kaido's burnt face. My hair billows in the air, pulled upright as my clothes slap against my skin. A wall of darkness higher than the trees circles my skin. Rin. I flinch and turn. Tears burn in my eyes as Mama stares back. The shadows don't move like normal. They don't pop and bubble and spill like mutating slime. Instead, they fold in on themselves, warping and condensing, collapsing under the hot sun into the shade of a familiar woman. Tall and slim, she towers over me the way she always did, her body so tall her head brushes the tree line. Nails the color of galaxies, hair fan behind her, the emptiness between the stars in her eyes. She stares the way she used to, fingers reaching out like they would for a child. Rin, she repeats, her voice sounding 1,000,000 miles away. She's beautiful. She's dead. Something inside me breaks. Something old and jagged and far too delicate to be held shatters and tears and rips at my chest. I can't breathe, can barely think as the woman reaches out, shadowy fingers stretching and curling and... Mama, I choke out. The knot in my throat sticks. My eyes burn. A sob catches and I can't swallow it, too consumed by the hollow feeling before me, like the hole in my chest widened and the abyss below threatened to eat me alive. She touches my face and ripples, black flaring before falling away into a murky, ocean-yawning blue. Her expression as distant as the stars, features blurring. She smiles. It's not a nice expression, Like hungry nights and cold showers and whispered cries in the dark. I can smell the cigarettes and the shiver of burning alcohol. Breath swirling in silver ghost clouds in a too-crowded bed. It's not enough. Mama, Mama. Rin. She leans close as I lunge for her. In an instant, she dissolves, splashing against my clothes as I reach back. My fingers go through nothing, arms pressing against air. Gone. No, 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 I choke, scrambling forward and reaching for remnants, searching for her ghost. Dirt and grass stain my fingers, but I don't care. No, Mama, no. Rinchin, Kaminari says. I can't look up, face covered in tears. I stare at my hands, at the dirt covered in deep grooves. She's gone, I sob, closing my eyes and hugging nothing but air. She was so close I could almost smell her. Why? Why? It wasn't fair. Mama. Leaning forward, I let my head touch my knees and cry. Eventually I get up. Face swollen and eyes red, I return to the lobby. I curl on the end of a couch, and sleep. Nobody stops me. When I do wake, it's to the sweet scent of baking. Rubbing at crust-coated eyes, I sit up. I blink slowly at the blanket spread across my shoulders. It's weird, because unlike normal blankets, it's strangely heavy. I blink at the patchwork of fabric, reluctantly moving it away. Oh ho, damn it, you beat me again. Something clinks behind me, the sound of dishes in the sink. Ahead, I can see the tops of boys' heads, their bodies disappearing to the couch. A television FLC curs with a game, somebody shushing the other before they laugh again. ILCK at my lips, one hand passing through my hair. Strangely, I feel oddly less full, less chaotic, less upset. I don't try to understand. Untying the loose braid, I stand instead, raking my fingers through the hair as I shuffle towards the others. Kaminari, Ajiro, and Siro sit together. Controller in hands, it takes a moment to recognize the game. The fighting one they always play. The one Kirishima loved and that Mina liked to tease them about. I smile. Arinchin, Kaminari squeaks, noticing me first. He blinks up, Widaid from the end closest to me. You're awake. Nodding, I lean forward. Close enough I can smell him, the light scent of soap and the taste of ozone on my tongue. He doesn't move, stiffening, and I encircle his neck with my arms. Thank you, I whisper, voice hoarse from sleep. For the first time in years, I got to see my mom. On a whim, I kissed the smooth skin of his cheek, surprised at its softness. Arinchin. I've never seen him blush. It's distantly amusing as I remove myself and look to Siro. The dark-haired boy stares back wide-eyed, hands rising immediately to wave in front of himself. I'm good. I shrug and straighten, my hair spilling across my shoulders and CHST. It's so long, I probably need to cut it soon. I wonder if Sensei will let me. Turning, I head instead to the kitchen. Sato, dressed in a simple gray apron, greets me brightly. Hey Rinchin. Hi. Drowsy, I lean against the counter and stare. Bowls, cups, and a variety of tools litter the table. A hand towel DD across a cutting board and a small puddle of milk pools beneath the measuring cup. I take in the stacks of ingredients quietly, tilting the flour enough to read cake across the bottom and real vanilla extract on the bottle nearby. My skin tingles and warms. Real cake flour and extract? What are you baking? I ask softly, replacing the flour and taking in the assortment of lemons and strawberries, whipping cream, and what looks like a simple syrup. Strawberry shortcake. Ha, close, the larger boy laughs. He runs a hand through his hair and grins ruefully. I was trying for a strawberry trifle, actually. I furrow my brows. I've never made that before. You want to help? The larger boy offers. It's fairly simple once you have all the pieces. It's just layers of cake, and then fruit, then custard and whipped cream all repeated. Mina's strawberries were going bad, so she asked me to use them. I glance towards the wilting strawberries and nod. I can wash. His smile is sunshine and gleaming. It's strange that it's directed at me. I flush, quickly collecting the strawberries and heading towards the sink. It's only as I turn on the water to wash my hands that I notice the strange glow to my skin. Unlike normal, it's pink. I squeak. Eh? Rinchin? What's... I'm pink, I squawk, quickly shutting off the water and turning towards the larger boy. I hold out my arms and wave them. I'm glowing pink. Clearly bewildered, he nods slowly. Yeah. I don't turn pink, I squeak, looking down. I glow for happiness, and my shadows are fear, and the muddy one is really bad, and... Well, what are you feeling now then? the large boy asks, calm as he wipes his hands on a towel and then picks up his batter. He begins pouring in the cake pan, large dollops falling on the already greased and lined form. I stare. He doesn't look up, spatula moving around the plastic sides of the bowl until it's all SCD out. Setting the bowl to the side, he shakes and drops it twice, only a little distance, clearly getting the air out. Yusin used to do the same on the rare occasion she made a cake. Dark, beady eyes glance up, and I'm caught off guard as he raises an eyebrow. Embarrassed, I manage, face hot and skin glowing redder by the second. I look like a cherry, or a tomato with hair. I'm sure of it. Sato laughs, the sound loud and throaty. He picks up the cake and carefully places it in the oven. Even by the sink, I can feel the hot gust as he closes the door back, his large hand reaching for a timer. Well, if you don't want to help, you don't have to. With practiced ease, the larger boy grabs for his towel again, swiping at the surface and cleaning away the milk. I don't want to go. No, I frown, ignoring my clearly idiotic skin and turning back to wash my hands. I got it. Sato's cake is delicious. My classmates appear like scavengers to devour it, and he just laughs and slices it away. Settled back on my spot on the couch with a strangely heavy blanket, I attempt to eat my trifle in peace. Toru, however, has other plans. Rinchin. I have no idea what she wants, and with cake in my mouth, I'm not really sure I want to know either. When her persistent stare doesn't disappear though, I sigh. Yes. She giggles, bouncing a little and leaning forward. I'm having a girls' night in my room. You're coming. I blink at her audacity. Okay. By the time Sensei returns, dressed in his hero uniform with yellow goggles pinned against his head, I've only barely finished dinner. Too caught up in my time with Toru, I'd nearly forgotten about it completely. I had forgotten about my homework. He wasn't going to be pleased. Dropping his keys on the counter, Sensei glances once at me before frowning, eyes narrowing dangerously. I gesture pointedly at the food and squirm. I cooked. Why are you wearing makeup? He asks, ignoring my comment. He doesn't move, doesn't pass me like normal to change. His lips thin as he takes in my features, the heavy liner, and rather loud eyeshadow. Are you hurt? No, I answer, shifting from one foot to another. Titorchin did it. We watched a movie and she did my hair. Do you like it? Not particularly, he says flatly, crossing to the table and pulling out his chair to take a seat. He leans back and crosses his arms. Your face is fine without it. I heard you used your quirk. Your classmates told Vlad that you were having build-up problems. I grimace and shrink. Yes, I admit, pulling at my fingers. Sensei studies me for a long moment, expression blank. You're not in trouble, Sensei says, uncrossing his arms and breathing deeply. I was concerned. You've never mentioned having build-up before, so I wasn't sure if this was you losing control and then making excuses, or you actually taking the initiative. Initiative. Then, you're not mad, I ask? His lips shift sideways, and he manages a sour expression. No. Go wash your face, you look like a clown. We can talk afterward. Did you do your homework? A clown, I scowl, pouting. I do not. Torichin said I looked cute. You look ridiculous, Sensei repeats, lip twitching as he leans sideways in his chair. Propping his chin on the arm of the chair, he raises an eyebrow. Now, did you finish your homework or not? Not, I groan, nose wrinkling. Then you can work on it after dinner, Sensei says, rising up and rolling his neck. One calloused hand falls on my head as he passes me by. It lingers for a moment before he disappears down the hall. I reluctantly trudge to the bathroom. Snapping a picture of my face, I hesitate before pulling up my contacts. Kagura. Do I really look like a clown? The check appears almost instantly, followed quickly by 3 small dots dancing at the bottom. It's bold, maybe less pigment on top, and thin the eyeliner. Your lashes are already dark and full. I frown, deflating a little, and go to wash some of it away. What's up with the makeup anyways, Hellspawn? Nobody's picking on you, are they? I pout. Why was that everyone's first reaction? My friend wanted to do it. Oh, someone else did that. Well, then never mind. Yeah, tell them no next time. Also, don't let them put dark colors next to your eyebrows. It makes them look like caterpillars. I scowl. Then, glancing at my eyebrows, examine them. They do look kinda thick. I scrub at my face stronger, actively ignoring the way my skin reddens and glows. Stupid quirk, flooding the entire bathroom like a stoplight. Thanks, Nichan. I type back, before sliding the phone back in my pocket and finally getting the majority of it off. Face raw, I only return once the embarrassment seeps off my skin, and then slump moodily in my chair. Ugh. Caterpillars? Sensei, already changed, smirks from his own chair. Better. I glower, annoyed when my skin heats up immediately. He raises an eyebrow at the red light pouring off my arms and face, looking annoyingly amused. That's new. Sensei, I whine, lips pursed. I'm hungry. Then eat, he snorts, scratching the scruff on his chin and not looking away. My skin brightens. What have you been doing all day, since it clearly wasn't studying? I scowl. Stuff. Like, he deadpans, finally looking down to eat from his plate. Stop being so suspicious. I already know you used your quirk outside and caused a ruckus. Vlad said you looked like a whirlwind above the trees, and when he came to check on it, you were passed out on the couch. That was around 9. Don't tell me you slept all day. I purse my lips. I helped Satokan make dessert, and I hung out with Torichin, and we talked, and I don't know. Sensei nods, eating a large mouthful, and making a thoughtful humming noise. I narrow my eyes. Where have you been? Patrol, he answers flatly, eyes half-lidded. Oh. Later that night, after homework and studying and a long lecture on why kissing Kaminari is inappropriate, and don't do it again, I sink into my bed tiredly. I wait for Sensei's kiss, eyes closed at the rough brush of his face against mine. Steady breaths as he shuts the door and leaves. Good night, Rin. I wait, 1 heartbeat, then 2. And when I hear the door to his room CLCK closed, I sigh, blinking up at the ceiling. Mama's face comes to mind again. I want to see her again. Didn't you ever just let it out and play? Slowly, as quiet as I can be, I reach for the hollowness in my CHST. And like a monster, coming to its master's call, it rises obediently. Vapors spill from my palms, gaseous, noxious-looking fumes that spin between my hands and revolve around each other. Like earlier, I don't try to control it. And as it warps and rotates, it changes. Black shadows intermingle with dark, fiery reds, silver sparks exploding from golden bursts. Tiny droplets of what looks like water splash across the chaos, and a low gray fog chases in their wakes. It's anarchy and it's madness, and it's like staring into a galaxy in my hands. I stare. The darkness interspersed with stars. It's beautiful. I've never seen anything like it.